Kobe Bryant appeared at the ESPYs last night. He went with his wife, who made a very public show of not only standing by her man, but sitting by her man and holding on to her man. And if you don't think this is news, Norman, then why did the Today Show put it in its lead newscast this morning?
It's not news, but TV, particularly cable TV and talk radio, is this huge landfill. And every day they got to back up that dump truck and lay down a bunch of dirt into that landfill, and that's why we keep talking about this, even though we shouldn't be.
But don't you think, if indeed down the road Kobe Bryant has to go to trial on a sexual assault case, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if he does, that would be one of the biggest cases of that or any other year, be covered by thousands of people.
At that point, yes, but until then, we know nothing. We should say nothing. And yet we continue to talk about this case as if we know something.
What do you make of sportscasters who are now obviously disgusted by the lack of action by the Colorado district attorney, I guess it is, and they say things like, this is getting ridiculous. When are they going to charge or not charge Kobe Bryant? What do you make of that?
Well, those sportscasters like you and me, you know, we have the legal IQ of Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
They shouldn't say that. We shouldn't say that. It's a legal process we don't even understand.
It would seem to me that you'd want to wait until all the facts were in if you were going to indict somebody, that you wouldn't want to rush to any sort of a judgment than that, I would think.
3 out of 4 times, that's the way to go. Welcome to PTI. Mike and Tony are on vacation. Joining me is Dan Levitard of the Miami Herald. The big news is, of course, Kobe Bryant being charged with 1 felony count of sexual assault against a 19-year-old woman who worked the front desk of a Colorado hotel where he was staying nearly 3 weeks ago. A conviction could result in a prison sentence of 4 years to life. The charge was announced this evening by Eagle County, Colorado District Attorney Mark Hurlburt. Hurlburt says the charge alleges both penetration and submission through force. But Hurlburt would not discuss any of the specific evidence against Bryant. Bryant released a statement acknowledging his infidelity, but proclaiming his innocence of any crimes. Dan, your immediate thoughts?
Well, it's heavy and it's shocking because it's Kobe Bryant. We've been talking for 2 weeks about image. Now we know at the least that that's smeared because he's a cheating husband, but he's facing some far more serious things. Now we got to talk about jail. But we're just sports writers. We're not legal experts. So we're going to bring in a noted criminal defense attorney, Abby Lowell, to bring some insight to this. First off, I guess, what does this mean?
It means initially that Kobe Bryant's, this woman, and their families' lives will never be the same again. It means that whatever was done in the last 24 or 48 hours to try to resolve this without criminal charges failed. And it means it will be a lot harder for any kind of settlement to occur in the near term.
How does Kobe's celebrity help or hurt him in this case?
Yeah, it's interesting. It does both. Celebrities, it actually turns out, have a harder time in the pre-charge because prosecutors have to show the world that they're not going easy on celebrities because of their stature, because of their personality, because of their money. So in a certain way, in terms of whether or not people get any benefit of the doubt, a celebrity gets less benefit of the doubt in the charging stage. Once a celebrity is charged, however, in a certain way, the celebrity works to their advantage. They have more money, they have more resources, they have more stature, they have more personality, they have fans, and in that way, it actually works. I mean, look at the fact that in the OJ case, for example, whatever people think, we all know that it worked out better that he was OJ at trial.
Is there any reasonable way to predict what's going to happen from here?
In terms of the procedures, what's going to happen is that Kobe Bryant will have to show up in court and he will have to say guilty or not guilty and be released on his own recognizance, and there'll be a hearing date for motions and a trial date. In terms of what may happen behind the scenes, here's my instinct. Kobe Bryant, his folks, must have really tried hard to resolve this prior to the charge, and it didn't happen as we just saw. Consequently, I suspect it's not going to happen soon, if at all. And so you're looking at something that very likely has to go to trial.
So we go to trial. As a defense attorney, what would be the critical things you'd look for?
Well, Kobe Bryant and his wife apparently have made a statement right after the charges filed, in which they've both admitted that there was some some interlude between the woman and Kobe Bryant. So what we now know is not going to be that she's wrong, I wasn't, she wasn't there, I didn't do it. It's I did it. And when somebody admits that they did it, the defense is going to be consent. The defense is going to be this was, infidelity, but it was, as you heard, not a crime. So it's going to be an issue of consent. And that removes some of the sting. Like, for example, physical evidence that there was a sexual contact is now not that relevant unless there's something else going on. There was an allegation of physical force. So if there was some other kind of physical evidence, a bruise, an injury, that might be significant. But we don't know that.
Given what you've said already, though, is there any way that you could foresee a plea bargain now? Because, as you said, if it would have gotten done by now, is there, what would have to happen for this never to reach trial?
I think two things are going to have to happen. One is going to have to be that the pressure of both being a prosecuting witness and having the publicity is going to have to really take its toll on the woman involved. She may have to feel less strongly. I mean, in this day and age, a prosecutor can't really make a deal if the victim, any victim, whether it has a sexual implication or not, is saying, no, I want to go the distance. In fact, usually it's the other way around. So she would have to be somebody who said, I don't want to go the distance. There would have to be something that falls apart about the case in terms of the evidence or something like that. Maybe something that we don't know as to proving or not proving that there was consent involved. From Kobe Bryant's point of view, unfortunately, there's not much that can move this off the track of trial because he's lost control of it. You know, once the charges are filed, once the victim is coming forward, once she wants it to go forward, there's not much he can do about it.
And they would have had to have been working pretty furiously to try to avoid all of this. I mean, obviously, you don't want the smear once you've got admissions of infidelity. I mean, the last 24 hours, what do you suspect that they look like?
We don't know. We're conjecturing, but here's what I think. I think that if any lawyer or any publicist or any agent worth their salt was helping Kobe Bryant, there was a furious effort over the last period of time to see if there was a way to resolve this other than through a 400-camera press conference where charges are filed, they're called felonies, a district attorney is saying it could be 4 years to life, there's a victim ready to go forward, and there's a statement about, yes, I admit that I was doing something that I shouldn't have been doing. So you have to assume that something was done, and you have to assume that either a deal was never offered that sort of met in the middle, or you had the victim and her family that said we're not making any concessions, or something like that. But we'll find out more about that, I'm sure.
What are we looking at in terms of time, in terms of how quickly this will move along to trial? What's your best guess?
It is, again, something that you can't tell based on the number of proceedings, but it could, if Kobe Bryant wants it to be that way, go fast. It could. By fast, I mean we're going to have an arraignment and a bond hearing in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some amount of time for a motions practice. It's called in the law discovery, where the government has to give Kobe Bryant evidence that they're going to use. He can go out and look for his own evidence. You could have a trial very much if things went rather the way they could in a few months as opposed to more than that. On the other hand, there are techniques, motions practice, discovery, all kinds of things that could cause it to be postponed. It is unlikely that it will be postponed for an entire, since we're here on ESPN, an entire NBA season, however.
There is a lot of room. You always hear these numbers thrown around, 4 years to life. There's a lot of room in there. Is there any way to guess what is really reasonable in worst case scenario versus best case scenario?
No, there's not. In fact, if you paid attention to what the prosecutor said, he said if there is jail. I mean, there's apparently under the system of Colorado state law the possibility that there might not even be jail. So I'd have to look more at that. I mean, and then the other thing about state justice, different than federal justice, is many states still have parole systems in which you are sentenced to something, but you are actually eligible to be released in a fraction of that, and it's all very complicated. So you can't tell under the circumstances that we now have. What we do know, it's a felony, which means if it's jail, it's going to be more than a year. What we do know is felony is a pretty serious word, and what we do know is that this did not get resolved, whatever was going on behind the scenes.
Thank you very much, Abby. Criminal defense attorney Abby Lowell.
We start with Kobe Bryant. On Friday, Eagle County District Attorney Mark Hurlburt announced that Kobe Bryant would be charged with a Class 3 felony sexual assault against a 19-year-old hotel worker. Just hours later, Kobe appeared at a news conference to profess his innocence and tearfully apologized to his wife, Vanessa, for committing adultery. Dan, how has your opinion of Kobe been affected since Friday's developments?
Well, it hasn't. I find it interesting the way that we make these guys' images about the commercials, that if they're fundamentally decent to us, talking to us in the locker room, and they're not Ron Artest or they're not Rasheed Wallace, all of a sudden we turn them into Boy Scouts. And he made a mistake. He's imperfect. That's not a surprise to me. It shouldn't be to anybody else.
Right. And any more effect, I think, has to wait for this trial to come out. I think people were waiting to see whether or not the charges would actually be filed. Now we know they are. And some of the columnists went a little bit wild the next day.
Well, this is how we feel betrayed. There's a little too much heartbreak here. It's an odd thing. Like, we trusted you. There's a little bit of that in there. Like, we made you one of, the myth-making machine built you into something.
And you let us down?
How could you go and do this?
Well, and now, too, is it reasonable to think that people may begin to doubt Kobe, that this might not be the first time that this has happened? Is that reasonable?
Well, it seems unlucky that the first time it happens is all of a sudden the time that this blows up in your face, but he can survive the philandering hit. I mean, he's not even the most famous or beloved Laker to have to suffer it. You know, James Worthy, Magic Johnson was still beloved long after this happened to him. So the betrayal, we still love them afterward.
We'll see how long people love him. We have a few questions about the Kobe Bryant case for sports attorney David Cornwell, who defended Darrell Russell of the Oakland Raiders in his sexual assault case, a case that was ultimately dropped. David, the attention seems to be drifting now a little bit away from Kobe and more toward the alleged victim. How much of her background can actually make it in front of a jury in a case like this?
Well, we know a few things. One is that Colorado has a rape shield law, so we will not hear evidence about her prior sexual conduct unless it relates specifically to prior sexual contact with Kobe. But because this is essentially a he said, she said case, and the character and credibility of a witness is always at issue, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. It seems to me if the reports that we've heard about the suicide attempt are in fact true, it is unlikely that that was just one incident. The likelihood is if this woman was struggling and having psychological problems or showing evidence of instability, that there will be additional evidence that will come out. And the reason that may be relevant at the trial is to demonstrate that she lacks credibility.
I'm sorry, Dan, but we should just underscore that this is just a rumor at this point. Is that what you understand it to be?
I do understand that one of her friends made the report to the Orange County Register and that there are currently legal proceedings to release records both from the 911 dispatch and apparently from the hospital as well.
What are the chances of that coming out? We'll probably end up seeing all of that too, right?
Well, in and of itself, I think it's hard to make a call now whether it would be admissible. But I can foresee circumstances where the defense tries to portray this woman as somebody who perhaps is, in addition to being unstable, an attention monger. And this may very well be the tip of the iceberg demonstrating that her allegations against Kobe were made purely to get attention.
If you were defending Kobe, how would you go about getting that in front of the jury? What sort of things would you do?
Well, the only way to get it in front of the jury is primarily through cross-examination and other witnesses that would be competent to testify. The 911 operator, the treating physicians. And there may be an instance where they can bring in expert testimony, which would be a psychologist or psychiatrist, who through research and case studies can demonstrate that her history of instability, demonstrates that she is the type of person that would make a false allegation. Remember, while Kobe doesn't have to prove his innocence tactically and as a practical matter, his lawyers do have to give the jurors something else to hang their hat on, to make her story seem unlikely or to raise reasonable doubt.
See, here's the question I keep asking myself. If she were simply an attention monger and someone maybe who was a little bit distraught, in the 2+ weeks that the district attorney was looking at the evidence in this case and deciding whether he had enough to prove this case, and now comes out and says he does have it, wouldn't he have sort of figured that part out and decided, you know, this isn't just a girl looking for attention, I've got physical evidence here?
No doubt. And this information does not mean that Kobe is going to be acquitted. And it also highlights the need to protect this woman's dignity. But at the same time, the law is an inexact science, and it is entirely possible that this is something that the district attorney either didn't know about or he knew about it and doesn't think that it's going to impact the jurors.
David, he's had a couple of high-profile appearances at the ESPYs, and of course he made that statement. Would you have had him do those things if you were representing him?
I don't know that my initial inclination would have been to give him that public exposure, but I think that the fact that he did is an indication, and it was the right call by his attorneys, that Kobe handles himself extremely well in the public situation, and I think the authenticity of his emotion came through.
Was there anything in that public display, not only of remorse, but affection for his wife? Was there anything that he said that maybe he shouldn't have said? Did he let a little bit too much out in any way, or was he just right on point?
I don't think there's anything that he said that was wrong, frankly, because the emotion was authentic. What I think was particularly effective for the case is I believe he declared his innocence 4 times during his press conference.
Now, the DA has come out and said very forcefully, I believe I can prove this case beyond reasonable doubt. How difficult is it to prove this kind of a case, and what evidence is he going to have?
Well, this case is going to come down to credibility. Kobe has admitted to having sex with this young lady. It is essentially a he said, she said case. Kobe and his attorneys are going to try to demonstrate, I should say, that she flirted with him, she went to the room with consent, and had sex with consent. It is likely that the district attorney, if those facts are true, will try to prove that she withdrew consent at some point before they completed the act, and at that point, Kobe had an obligation to stop.
And generally in that case, if there is physical evidence or corroborative evidence, which is more powerful, or do you think he might have both?
Well, certainly everything that we've heard suggests that he has both. And I think it's the combination of the two that's powerful.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. David Cornwell, General Counsel to Morad Sports Management.
While Kobe Bryant's first court appearance isn't until Wednesday, he appeared at the Teen Choice Awards Saturday in L.A. and maintained his innocence. But the real food for thought on Bryant comes from Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who said in an email to an Associated Press reporter, quote, "No one wants to see these things happen, but the reality of our world today is that this will help the business of the NBA. If anything, people become more interested in celebrities the more notoriety they receive," close quote. Dan, I agree with Cuban's observation 100%. What about you?
No, I like Cuban. He's good for the sport. His notoriety, his kind of notoriety is good for the sport. But Kobe Bryant, what we need to see from him is him in the finals instead of the Spurs, the boring Spurs in the Nets. Not him in jail. This isn't good for basketball.
But can't both things be true? I mean, of course the league has to be nervous. I mean, terrified about Kobe playing under this cloud. But won't more people turn? More people have to turn it. Think about all the people,
watch it
Dan,
on court TV.
But think about all the people who are just known because of notoriety. That's all they got. Tanya Harding, Tony's, favorite person mentioned. It's all she's got. Monica Lewinsky. People make entire careers out of notoriety.
The fringe sports can use that. Annika Sorenstam and Martha Burke, women's golf, attention, any kind of attention is good. The NBA doesn't need this. It doesn't need Damon Stoudemire getting arrested. You think that's going to bring Portland Trailblazer fans out? It doesn't need Kobe Bryant in jail. People want to see him play. They'll
want to see him play more than ever. They're going to wonder. There are going to be entire campaigns built about how will Kobe respond? How's he going to play? Is the court a sanctuary? Is he going to have any joy in his face? Every smile is going to be interpreted 1,000 times when he's on the court.
But how long can you sustain that, though? How long can you? Okay, we see a couple of games. There's Kobe Bryant. I don't think that Ray Lewis, when he was on trial for murder, I don't think people all over the country, that didn't mushroom the way this thing did, but I don't think people all over the country were all of a sudden turning into Ravens games. This is one of the big sports already. It doesn't need this kind of stuff.
It doesn't need it, but I think more people tune in. And I think Mark Cuban hit upon the two things we're talking about. The sport doesn't need it, but when it gets it, it gets a bounce anyway. We're going to let this play out and see who's right.
Boss up. Should Kobe sponsors support him or dump him?
That's easy. Support him. We have a tenet in this country, which is innocent until proven guilty.
Unless you're a celebrity.
Yeah, of course, unless you're a celebrity. Innocent until proven guilty. I don't care about what's on the internet, and I don't care about even what our show. We have to discuss these things every day. His sponsors should treat him innocently until he's proven otherwise.
But he's not 100% innocent. He might be innocent of this crime, but
that's all we're talking about.
No, because you're talking about image with the selling of products, and he's not an innocent. Whatever that means. He's a guy who cheated on his wife. I love, by the way, how we call it adultery using biblical terms. He cheated on his wife.
We have to have endorsers, celebrity endorsers, who are faithful to their wives. We better take all the advertising off television today.
But you can't be a public cheat and then hold up the soap and say, "Hey, buy this."
Oh yeah, you can. We just don't know about it. But once again, we start with something related to the Kobe Bryant case.
Again?
Yep. Tracy McGrady says he sympathizes with Kobe and hopes he's found to be innocent. But T-Mac added that Bryant should have known to avoid such a compromising situation and said, quote, "If you're married, stick with your wife," close quote. T-Mac sounds like the voice of middle America, Dan. But don't you cringe just a little bit hearing him say that?
Why should I cringe? He should know better than to avoid that situation.
Maybe right, but maybe you don't want to say it when you also are a public figure and temptation is all around the corner all the time, particularly when you're young, rich, famous, and visible, okay? And it's just, the chickens could come home to roost. Just
no, but we can't because everybody's talking about this and we're sticking a microphone in everybody's face. I'll grant you, if you talk to agents and you talk to players, they say the number one headache for all athletes in all sports tends to be women, not money, not anything else. The cause of headaches, just because they have their dalliances and their temptations. If you've covered the
NBA and NHL and Major League Baseball, and more so than the NFL, where guys are only on the road like 8 nights a year. If you cover the other 3 sports where they're always on the road, you know what the hotel lobbies look like.
Right.
And my point is I'm not saying I disagree with Tracy McGrady.
But you're assuming he's going to fall where he's saying, no, you don't like him placing himself.
I'm not presuming. I'm just saying, just be careful. I mean, Kobe Bryant might have thought those same words 6, 8, 10 weeks ago.
Right.
Just be careful. People are human.
But he should just shut up then, though? When everybody's talking about this, we're asking...
No, he shouldn't shut up. We should be careful.
We're showing up at every camp, every time these guys are around kids, and we're asking, what do you think about the Kobe situation?
We are asking, and they got to be careful about those answers.
Mike, I'm confused about something else. It's kind of a perpetual state for me, actually. I can't tell if the overwhelming media coverage of Kobe is a reflection of the nation's interest or if the nation is interested because it can't get away from the overwhelming media coverage. Yesterday, we were changing the entire face of television by wearing our cop hats here when Kobe barged in and bumped us right off the air. Mike, did you take anything of value from the Kobe hearing?
No, not a single thing. Can we go to the next topic now? No. What could you take? I mean, it's 7 minutes, the whole thing lasts. You see Kobe, the back of his head, or you see these shots going in. No, there was nothing of value that happened yesterday at that hearing to the viewer.
He utters 2 syllables, and how much programming did he launch? There's a debate afterwards.
Sir.
Did he wear the right color suit? Did he give off the right image? You know, what's he supposed to do? You know, his handlers are telling him as he's walking out of the courthouse, don't acknowledge the applause because the last thing you need is him waving.
Remember what television is giving itself over to now? It's just one dating show after another in prime time every night. That's what we got. A lot of channels,
right?
Not as much content as we'd like.
No content.
Usually, for some much-needed perspective on the Kobe coverage and other things, we turn to our good friend, media critic, and syndicated columnist, Norman Chad. Norman, first off, does the Kobe Bryant case deserve as much media coverage as it's getting?
Yes and no. Yes, in terms of public interest. There obviously is an abiding public interest there, and the media is responding to that interest. But no, in terms of the total amount of coverage we're getting and the type of coverage we're getting. And you don't have to respond to every public desire. There's some responsibility here. You know, a lot of the public, for instance, young men might want to see pictures of women naked, mud wrestling in the newspaper every day, and we don't do that. Most newspapers don't do that. Rupert Murdoch on occasion. So you need to have some responsibility, and the media doesn't always show that responsibility to me.
But Norman, do you have any accurate gauge for how interested the nation really is? Because people will say that we're overinflating the coverage, and I'm not sure if the nation is this interested and the media is reflecting that, or the media is just making the nation more interested.
Well, it's a combination of the two, Dan, but really, when I go around places, it's definitely the talk of the town everywhere. It's people who don't even follow basketball know who Kobe is now. Everyone's talking about it casually. I do think the media is reflecting it, but again, the type of coverage the media is giving us does not reflect well on the media.
All right, Norman, you watch a lot of TV. Did that hearing the other day in Colorado, did that make must-see TV for you?
No, see, that's the type of coverage that actually bothers me, and then the aftermath of it, because this wasn't even a preliminary hearing, this was an arraignment. Nothing was going to happen, and yet for hours afterwards, they were going to have to discuss what did happen. And so for hours afterwards, we get endless analysis on cable television about the 2 words Kobe said in court and his countenance towards the judge. We get endless analysis about the jacket he was wearing and the color of it. We get endless analysis of why his wife was or wasn't with him that day. You know, it was just too much. In fact, the only thing I liked about the coverage that I watched is they showed one shot outside the courthouse of one guy holding up a sign that said, "I need tickets." Sort of reflected the whole preposterous nature of this coverage.
But what's the media supposed to do? We're certainly an easy punching bag here, Norman. What would you have them do if you're saying there is a national interest and you've got 6 minutes of bad programming there and there is an interest in Kobe all the time? What would you have the media do?
You've got to be more responsible. The problem we have right now is that, first of all, cable news over the last generation is so competitive with each other. So with the advent of cable news, with talk radio where almost anything goes, with the internet, which is just a daily unfiltered dog poop depository, that whole combination means that the pool of information we're receiving is coming from the bottom up. It makes no sense. And so more responsible media outlets actually have to make decisions, and it's tough because there's virtually no upside to showing restraint. The only upside to showing restraint is that you're doing the right thing. And sometimes when you do the right thing, you can get fired. So if you're not doing that type of Kobe coverage somewhere and everyone's watching everything else, then one day, you know, you go from being executive producer of the nightly news to the next day selling pencils, good pencils, but you're still going to be out of a job.
Norman, I'm going to dare to move to something else for a second. Is Kobe even the biggest story in L.A. now that Arnold is running for governor?
Wilbon,
down.
Take a listen to what your boy Allen Iverson says about Kobe Bryant in this week's Sunday Conversation.
In this situation, it has to be something, because you can go get Allen Iverson, because Allen Iverson had brushes with the law before. But to go get Kobe Bryant, the quote-unquote squeaky clean human being, got to be something.
Ooh, that's a shot. All right, Wilbon, you slurped up to Iverson in a column you wrote in a post the other day. Is he right about Kobe?
I know you like slurping up to Allen Iverson usually, so you hate when I do.
That's a big shot, though, Kobe Bryant.
I don't know if it's a shot. I want to hear the whole Sunday night conversation to hear the context of that statement. And he doesn't know. He doesn't know. You don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what the hell happened.
But here's what I do know. And I know you know this too.
What?
If that had been Allen Iverson arrested, if that had been Mike Tyson arrested, or countless other guys arrested, you would have said
less of a story.
No, but
because people
would
have
been
said,
more,
just like Iverson's intimating, you know what? People expect us to get in trouble.
That's exactly right. So with Kobe Bryant, that's what fuels this story.
Yep.
It is, I don't know if it's squeaky clean, but he has lived his life, we think,
yes,
in an exemplary way to this point.
Absolutely. It's the image. And I want to hear the Sunday night conversation because I want to hear if there's some resentment. Allen Iverson has to deal with the baggage of that playing in Kobe Bryant's hometown, where he used to be revered before they decided he was a bad guy and they booed him in an All-Star game. But we don't know. Iverson, I don't care what he says on any conversation.
That's why there'll be a
know.
trial. We'll find out.
This tournament.
Get the next one.
Let her.
Oh, God. Can't we get a better prop
No,
than this?
great voice.
After seeing Kobe and hearing Kobe this weekend, do you think Kobe's heart is in the upcoming season at all?
Maybe not yet, but I think it will be, David. I think it's got to be a sanctuary. And by the way, he looks at least 15 pounds. It looks like Kobe light, like Kobe from 6 years ago.
We saw Kobe last training camp after he'd spent all summer working out and lifting. He was cut, he was ripped, he was ready to go. This guy doesn't look like that at all. And here's what I'm saying. This whole summer, there hasn't been that much trial stuff going on, and he's wasted away. What's going to happen as he gets closer and closer to a trial day?
Maybe, though, with the start of the season, again, I think the court will be a sanctuary
I hope so.
for him.
It doesn't look like it right now.
He didn't have to get in there and rebound. They got Karl Malone to do some of that now. He won't have to do as many things as he had to do last year, which is why he bumped up.
I'm going to tell you this. Phil Jackson's had a lot of things to do as a coach over the years.
Yep.
This is going to be the hardest one.
I agree with you.
Saturday, I'm going for Pedro.
You want for Pedro?
Yeah, I'm going for Pedro.
picking Clem.
Hey, fellas, Shaq says he wants to play another 7 or 8 years. Do you see him in a Lakers uniform at 39?
39 ain't 29, bro. I think we've heard that before, haven't we?
We heard that somewhere, yeah.
He'll be with the Lakers, and here's why. The Lakers have a history. Wilt Chamberlain won a championship with them. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won championships with them. They understand the value of a great center. Shaq is the greatest force in the NBA today. They will not let him go.
Just one problem. Shaq has missed 95 games in 7 years due to various injuries, because even though he's a big, strong, tough guy, he gets hammered. He takes a lot of abuse, a lot of punishment in there. We don't know what that body will undergo over the next 6 or 7
But do you think he would go to another team?
No, but I just
I don't
see him playing at 39. He's got too many other interests, too many other things he wants to do, which he can make money from. Movies, rapping, music.
For God's sakes, he loves to play basketball. What's next? But we start with Kobe Bryant's appearance at a preliminary hearing in Colorado today. Neither of us are lawyers, and we have no idea if either the prosecution or defense gained an advantage today. But, Michael, it is clear that Kobe Bryant's life is going to be consumed by this upcoming trial. And since this is a sports show, I ask you, how much do you think Kobe Bryant will play for the Lakers, and how effective will he be on the court?
I know that you don't think he will play the entire season if this trial comes off during the season. And you raise a great point. And I have said that I think it will be a sanctuary, the court will be, for Kobe Bryant to some degree.
Think so.
Now, Tony, I'm going to back off this a little bit. I still think that Kobe may need to play basketball. And I mean need. I mean that he can't just sit holed up in his home all the time.
I think he's going to try to play basketball. I don't think it's going to work for him. And he is a loner by nature. And so if anyone can be holed up at home, he could do that. Michael Jordan always said how because his life belonged to people, the only sanctuary he got was on the court. But he wasn't facing what Kobe Bryant was facing. Look at the stress on Kobe Bryant. Look at what he weighs.
He's lost about 15 pounds, it appears. And you know what, Tony? It's too early to know. It's too early to know how Kobe will feel about having to go to practice, having to get back into a daily routine while he's got this other huge
let's get
thing
to the
hanging over
second part of it. He is the best all-court player in basketball.
Absolutely.
How good will he be while this is happening?
Without being in the kind of condition that he wants to be, because he didn't train this summer by his own admission, we don't know. And you know what's worse yet? I don't think he knows. How could he know?
But you do agree with me that he may miss a big chunk of time.
He may beg. But I think he's going to try to play. Tony, because you and I are lifelong reporters, we're not supposed to admit publicly that we are tired of any story. Certainly not the Kobe Bryant sexual assault story. But I am tired of it. So is the Aspen, Colorado Daily News, which says it will stop carrying coverage of the case until there's a settlement or a verdict. Tony, strictly speaking, it sounds very irresponsible But I do defend the Daily News' right to decide what is or isn't news. You with me on this?
Oh, yeah, right behind you, by about 14 miles. This is unbelievably irresponsible of this newspaper to say that they won't be there till a verdict, so they wouldn't even be there for the trial.
Well, of course they're going to be there for the trial.
Well, didn't say that. What happened yesterday was real news in America. Kobe Bryant's story led every newscast in this country.
But as we both know, that most of the last 75 days, most of it wasn't news.
And most of the last 75 days haven't been anywhere other than the site where the trial's going to be in Colorado.
But that's where they are.
Well,
That's where the Aspen Daily News is. Aspen, Colorado. Hello.
People probably in Aspen want to read it as my
Then
guess.
they'll get the Denver paper. They'll get one of two Denver papers.
This isn't about a person saying a UFO landed in my backyard and abducted my dog. This is a rape trial. This is a serious, somber circumstance.
And if their
circulation
drops and it's a bad decision, they'll be out of business.
Don't just beg.
You know?
Like Jan Stevens, I'll tell you, he's the smartest guy in the room. Wilbon, Shaq and Kobe are at each other's throats like dogs. It started when Shaq suggested that Kobe pass more and shoot less. And Kobe fired back, how nobody has to tell me how to play my game. And then Shaq said, oh yeah, this is the diesel ship you're on, pal. You want to opt out, opt out. Ooh. These are the two biggest stars in the NBA. It seems they plain don't like each other. So go ahead, Wilbon. Defend your boys.
No, they're both at fault here. I believe that this is the time. Look, Kobe Bryant is at the most sensitive time of his life.
Absolutely.
Maybe up to this point and maybe forever.
You'd like to think a teammate would stand by.
If he's a little agitated at Shaq for a comment, this is the time I would think to let it go. Just let it go. But he and Shaq, I don't think they dislike each other. I think they like messing with each other. I think they like to get under one another's skin. You and I have some experience with that.
How about...
But it's not being done with good nature now. It's not the time
When this started, and I think it started a couple of weeks ago, when Shaq listed all the guys he was happy to play with, including Prime Minister Gorbachev, and left Kobe out of the list. I mean, when you say they like to mess with each other, it's so public.
Well, it's all public. We're in the locker room. I was out... Look, I went to the Lakers-Sacramento game in Las Vegas on Saturday Friday, where this started. Because after that game, in which Kobe looks so light. He looks 20 pounds light. He took shots, his legs weren't there, and Kobe said afterward, my legs will get there. I will get my lower body into the shape to shoot these jump shots. But Shaq, 5 feet away, was saying, I think he should stop shooting the ball so much. And they irritate each other, and they're going to have to stop if the Lakers are going to have any success this year.
Do you believe that Kobe Bryant will, in fact, opt out and leave the Lakers?
I do.
Where will he end up?
I don't know. How about, let me throw a scenario out. How about with your boy, Pat Riley, in the Staples Center with the Los Angeles Clippers?
I think that would be cool. I think that would be cool.
You think he won't leave? Don't you think that he wants to show he can win without Shaq? And Shaq also would love nothing more than to prove he can win without Kobe.
Has Shaq become emboldened with Karl Malone and Gary Payton on the team?
Two pretty good running mates, huh?
But I mean, and does Shaq really believe that the media sides with Kobe against him?
I don't
Does
know
he
about
really
that.
believe that?
I don't know how that works.
Don't people love Shaq?
I think this is the first step to something more serious, not one of their usual spats.
Love Shaq, B-52. But we start with Kobe Bryant detonating a series of nuclear bombs on Shaquille O'Neal. Wilbon, you think David Guest got it bad from lies around the face and head? Kobe called Shaq unprofessional, childlike, fat and out of shape, a bad teammate, and a bad leader. Wow. I have never heard a teammate on the record say anything close to this about another teammate. They have 3 rings together. You know them, Michael. Do they really hate each other this much?
Well, before Friday, I would have said no. I'm not going to sit here and make the case that they've been best friends. I mean, they don't live the same sort of lifestyle. I mean, much has been made of Kobe being sort of aloof and off to himself, and Shaq is a gregarious guy who has a lot of people around all the time. But hate, no. I thought, Tony, they like to get under each other's skin. They like to mess with each other. That's fine, but I never thought dislike to hate, which is what it appears like now, but I never thought that before.
Shaq took a couple of shots at Kobe, and then Kobe came with everything in the arsenal at Shaq, apparently. And one of the things that's very disturbing, were I Kobe Bryant, was he says that through all of this in the summer, you know, because he is going to be tried for rape. Yes. Through all of this, his teammate, Shaquille O'Neal, never got in contact with him. If that's true, how do you live with that?
Well, if that's true, Tony, and I have not known Kobe to just fabricate something. If that is true, we have to hear from Shaq. We have to get Shaq's side of this. If that's true, that's when this goes from, you know what, we're not best friends to dislike to something else, if that's true.
This is a guy you've shared too much with for that to happen.
Now, Stephen Smith is reporting on ESPN that there are sources close to Shaquille O'Neal who say he left him messages. We don't know. But if that's true, that has to be the source of great irritation for Kobe.
You know what's strange about this? I was on the radio today getting all sorts of emails from people who say this is a conspiracy to deflect attention away from Kobe's trial and put it on the basketball court. Does that make any sense to you?
That Shaquille O'Neal would have some vested interest in doing that. And why would he do that? Why would he be party to that? No, I don't believe that. This is two guys who right now don't like each other.
You think this is real?
Oh, absolutely. Tony, we're talking about affecting careers here. The person paid a lot of money to clean up this mess and keep the Lakers playing as a championship-level team is the coach, Phil Jackson. And one of Phil's most effective methods of resolving conflict is to do very little, sometimes nothing at all. But, Tony, that isn't going to work this time. After yesterday's practice, Phil told Kobe and Shaq to stop with the public comments, and Kobe, after that, talked to Jim Gray. Today, Phil says he's going to find Kobe. So, Tony, you're Dr. Phil. What do you do?
Well, Dr. Phil always says, get real. That's not going to work here. If I'm Phil Jackson, the first thing I do is I make a phone call to Michael Jordan. I say, help me out here. Come counsel Kobe and put on a pair of shorts because I need you. I think
you're kidding, right?
I am not kidding at all. I think
serious?
This is the absolute scenario for Michael Jordan to come back to basketball and play with the Lakers. The guy who can solve this right now, in my opinion, is Shaquille. Now, it's going to take a big man to do what I'm going to suggest he does. But he says out loud, you know what? I probably shouldn't have started this with Kobe. I apologize for the things I said to Kobe. I was insensitive to the circumstance Kobe finds himself in, and I should have known better as a teammate. And I forgive Kobe for what he said about me because he's under a lot of stress. You know Shaq well. Is that in him?
It's in him. Whether he will do it or not, I don't know. Is it in him? Yes. We've seen Shaq turn situations. He can make light of something. He can bring great gravity to something. Shaq has a fully developed personality. If he wants to do that, he could.
I don't think Kobe now is capable of doing that, of reaching out.
And I understand that Kobe is under the stress, and I agree with you, that could work. I was standing in the locker room in Las Vegas after this preseason exhibition game, whatever, when Shaq first said, I think he needs to shoot less and get his legs under him. I'm talking to Karl Malone. I hear it did not resonate to me to be a diss of Kobe. But Kobe, who was standing 5 feet away, certainly took it that way, Tony.
Well, in any case, when Shaq came back at Kobe, he said, if you want to opt out down the road, opt out now. This is a diesel ship. So we see that both people are at work here. You know what I want to see in that game tonight?
What?
Pre-game introductions. Because I think that the crowd, the L.A. crowd,
They're going to choose sides.
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll cheer lustily for both people to try and bring them together.
Maybe you're right.
If this was last year's Laker team, and it was clear that Kobe and Shaq were mortal enemies, I would say the Lakers were done. But this year's Lakers have added Karl Malone and Gary Payton, 2 Hall of Famers. And so as crazy as this sounds, Wilbon, I still think that the Lakers, with or without Kobe, are the team to beat in the NBA. What do you think?
Well, I know Shaq agrees with you and has said so. I don't believe that. I believe with Kobe Bryant, they are the team to beat. I believe without him, no, I don't see how that's possible.
Let me tell you why it's possible.
Tony, Gary Payton and Karl Malone going straight to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But they are in their in Payton's case, 30s, and late 40 when you're Karl Malone's case.
Let me tell you why
they can't be out there playing 40 minutes a night.
Let me tell you why it's possible. Neither of those guys has a ring, and they want one badly. Shaquille can use this for self-motivation. He can go out there like Wilt Chamberlain. He says, I'm going to prove it right now, and I'm going to, as Bruce Springsteen says, I'm going to prove it all night.
But Shaq proves it every year. You think Shaq's got another level for 6 months before the playoffs to burn himself out?
To show Kobe Bryant I can do it without you. And I said early on in this debate, I thought that Kobe Bryant would not play much this year, that things would get to him, especially stress. I think now there's a possibility that Kobe will play little,
he's got the knee situation and may not even play tonight. I think they need. He's the best all-court player in the game.
Does he want to come back and play with these people under this condition?
What's he going to do, sit out the whole year apart from the legal issues?
He could say, I want to devote myself to the legal issues.
Okay, he can say that. All right, it's increasingly apparent, at least to me, that Kobe Bryant ain't long for the L.A. Lakers. He was already going to opt out of his contract and explore his options as a free agent at the end of the season. And everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to be interested in Kobe. Then Kobe and Shaq could get what they claim they want, a chance to win a championship without the other. So, Tony, which one would you rather have, Shaq or Kobe?
You know I've said a million times, I think Kobe's the best all-around basketball player in the world and better at a comparable stage than Michael Jordan. You know I've said that. But I'm old school in this regard. I take the big man. I take Shaq because every time he walks out on the court, he is the most valuable player. You can get a guard who can score 20 points. You can get a guard who can feed somebody the ball. You can't
Kobe's more than a guard.
But you can't get Shaquille. So if I have to choose, I take Shaquille. Who do you choose?
Here's the one difference. Shaquille O'Neal's going to be 32 years old. If Shaq was 28,
but it's right now. The question's right now.
But he's 31 now. I'm not going to trade 7 years when Kobe Bryant can go somewhere and, like Michael Jordan, make a team, a bad team, a contender, instantly. If they're the same age I'm taking Shaq, I'm not giving away 7 years.
Okay.
I'm taking Kobe at 25.
Well, if the question...
Shaq, I agree with you, is the most dominant force in the NBA.
But if the question is right now, today...
For this season?
Okay,
for
now,
this season,
Kobe is
Shaq.
20 pounds underweight.
For this
Kobe
season,
is distracted.
Shaquille
So there's no choice right
O'Neal.
now.
There's no choice.
Okay.
I'm just saying, next year when he's a free agent and if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, guess who's going to walk? I know Kobe is going to have to leave because his contract's going to be up.
Right.
But, Tony, every single team will be after this guy. And
so you would take Kobe. And right now,
at 25,
I would take Shaq for the one season because of his dominance. I would. As much as
who would you take, Wilt at 33 or Michael Jordan at 25? Who would you take?
Always loved Wilt. We're going to get back into the Shaq and Kobe thing with TNT NBA analyst Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. And let's start with the question that you guys would know that I don't know. Did you know they hated each other this much?
Well, you know, the thing that's funny, Tony, all it takes is one little thing to bring all this stuff out. I had no idea because it seemed like they had patched things up. They had won 3 championships. And then you think about Shaq said some of those things last year about, hey, we were just fooling the media. He fooled them good.
Well, the other thing I think of, Chuck, if you look at this, though, this is the first time that now we're talking about basketball with the Lakers. So I don't know if Shaq is really that smart to get everyone focusing on basketball, but this really did it.
I don't think that's true because the stuff he said about Shaquille was so personal. And at this point, no matter what they say, I don't think they can ever be friends from this point on. They just might be cordial to each other because they play on the same team. Because Kobe, he went for the juggler. Some of that stuff I think was really personal. I think a lot of it was unfair. And I just feel bad for the Lakers.
The weight issues. But I talk about your weight and you don't get upset. We still friends.
Yeah, what's wrong with Kobe? Ain't nothing wrong with being fat.
Charles, there's no secret. You had guys in the league at the time you were playing that you didn't particularly get along with very well. I'm wondering if there were teammates where it ever came to this point. I want to ask you and Kenny, were there teammates you just couldn't stand? And how did you resolve the situation?
First of all, on every team, Dr. J taught me from the beginning, there's always jealousy among teammates. But I've never seen it to this point. You know, there was rumors that Larry Bird and Kevin McHale obviously didn't get along, but they kept it on the Celtics. Now, I've obviously played with a couple guys. I don't want to mention the names. Armin Gilliam. There's always guys you don't get along with, but you always kept it in the team. Because obviously the press is hitting a gold mine with this situation, but you always kept it in-house. But that always happens. But I don't think I've ever seen it to the extent and such a personal attack as Kobe did to Shaq.
Kenny, what about you?
And it's basketball issues. That's why you're surprised that it didn't stay in-house, because all he had to do was go over 2 lockers and say, you know what, pass the ball more. And he said, you know what, I could do my thing. And you could have settled that dispute right then and there. You don't have to really use the media to kind of go about that to resolve that issue.
But they've been doing that for a year, Kenny. They've been going back and forth through the media at each other for a couple of years, haven't they?
Yeah, but it really hadn't been basketball issues. Like it's been more of a whose team is it? Those are things that are external. But it was more of like, you need to pass more while. I mean, those kind of things you can just go to the next locker room, right next locker, and say. And the things that Kobe said, you can go right back to the other locker and say directly to the person. That's why it was a little bit, I think even this one is a little bit more deeper wounds.
What if you guys are Karl Malone and Gary Payton? What are you thinking now, having taken so little money relative to what you could have gotten elsewhere to go and play for this team?
Well, I think obviously Karl and Gary obviously got to be. First of all, I don't think the Lakers are going to win the championship. I think the Spurs got a better team. I think that obviously I didn't think this team was going to work from the beginning. I really didn't think it was going to be Kobe and Shaq, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be hard for Gary to handle the triangle and Karl to handle a reduced role. But this kind of really throws a monkey wrench into the entire. And I feel bad for Carl and Gary because that was really humble and great what they did for the game.
Yeah, I think those two guys, though, they could look at this situation and say, you know what? Now if we do win a championship, we can be the reason. So it might be something that they could really inspire them because they could kind of diffuse this whole situation because Gary and Carl are the only two guys who been all-stars, been Olympians, been great players that can really say something that has some validity, and those two guys probably respect.
Let me bring up the name of Phil Jackson, who's in charge of calming all this most of the time. Phil's a laissez-faire guy, as you know. Most of the time he calms things down by just sort of sitting around. Can he just sit around on this one, Charles, or does he have to really do more than even fining Kobe? Does he have to do more?
Well, first of all, I think Phil Jackson, other than Red Auerbach and maybe Pat Riley name in there as the greatest coach in basketball, I think that if anybody can handle this situation, it's him. But this is one he can't sit back and let them learn because this between those two guys, I don't really think they can ever be friends, like I said earlier, because some of the stuff that Kobe said was really personal. Shaq's was actually more basketball related. And you know what, I'm not going to blame Shaq. He gets some blame. But what he said was like criticism of basketball. But Kobe took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I mean, he might as well say something about that boy's mama. You know, like in the ghetto, that's like the last straw. You say your mama. He took it so far, he almost said your mama. That was bad.
Yeah. You know, I think Phil has to say something. Not because of just what's been said, also because of what's all has been going around the team before this with the whole trial situation. So now you have so many fires that you have to put out, so many things you have to diffuse. I don't think you could just sit back and wait for the team to develop.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
We're taking a break. When we come back.
I agree with that. And that's why you can't pronounce he's the greatest thing ever just yet.
Right.
LeBron James may have knocked Kobe Bryant out of the lead news spot, but not for long. Increasingly in NBA circles, there's speculation that Bryant won't get to explore his pending free agency, that he'll be traded before he's able to opt out. In today's New York Post, Peter Vesey writes that Lakers boss Jerry Buss must understand by now a trade has to be arranged as soon as possible. Multiple reports have Bulls chairman Jerry Reinsdorf doing his own Kobe investigation in case of a trade. Tony, if you're the Lakers, do you trade Kobe Bryant?
I don't think you trade Kobe Bryant, and I'm probably in the minority. I think you talk to him. I think what you say down the road is this. I understand the stress you've been under. This is assuming that he is cleared of charges and is available to play.
Yes.
I understand the stress you've been under. I understand what that has done to you. This isn't the Kobe Bryant we know. Stay with us. You've been here with us for a long time. Trust us. We will trust you. I don't think you trade your best all-court player in the league
But here's the issue.
for a bucket of beans.
I agree with you. He opted out. He said, I want to opt out before any of these legal problems started. He remember that. He declared
what he said was he wanted to explore the market, which you would do, which I would.
I agree that he should do it too.
But exploring the market isn't the same as signing with someone else. I know you have him leaving completely.
Well,
I'm not sure
we
he will.
both sat here and you agreed even more than I did with Charles Barkley, who said this isn't going to work anymore.
Right now, it's not going to work. But when Kobe's legal situation is cleared up, it's possible that he'll say, forgive me, I went nuts. I was under so much stress I didn't know what it. I would hold.
Okay.
Today, we'll always hold him. Got no one to hold him. No one to fold him.
It might surprise you to know, Tony, that all's quiet with the Los Angeles Lakers. They've won 9 of 12 games so far. Kobe Bryant, who you said wouldn't even play this season, has played 11 of 12. That's a big percentage.
He missed one.
Not only that, the first one, but Kobe received mostly cheers in Madison Square Garden last night before his team beat the Knicks. Kobe called it the best reception he's gotten on the road this year. So, Tony, what happened to the wild circus of distraction that was supposed to follow the Lakers on the road this season?
Well, I'm going to take that in a second, but the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the fact that where they played last night, which is the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Now, you're of the opinion,
world's most famous arena.
You're of the opinion that the Lakers should trade Kobe Bryant right now.
I'd be seriously exploring a trade if you knew he's going to opt out.
Madison Square Garden Knicks fans are pretty sophisticated, and they know that one place Kobe could end up is Madison Square Garden with the Knicks. So they're going to cheer him. They're inclined to cheer him. Plus, I believe that people who are inclined to buy tickets to NBA games are inclined to be sympathetic to Kobe Bryant's plight. Not necessarily what he did or didn't do, but to the condition he finds himself in now. And this is not OJ. He's not on trial.
But
he's not on trial yet.
To you that has sort of come down to a simmer. The whole roar about the and it existed when I was in Las Vegas for the Sacramento Lakers preseason game. It was crazy.
It's an elongated process, and we haven't seen him in court yet.
Point, everybody's trying to stay in the business, and he's just looking that way.
All right, I'll give you an L.A. question. The Kobe Bryant trial was going to be the hot trial. Has that been blown out of the tub by the Michael Jackson trial?
Well, you know, this is apples and oranges. The difference here, I think, when Kobe comes around, Kobe's in the prime of his career. Michael, well, actually, if these charges were against Jermaine Jackson, who I believe is in the prime of his career, as it were, it would be a much bigger deal. But when Kobe comes around, it will be the bigger deal, at least on the days the Lakers aren't playing.
Season. In fact, I thought he would play very, very little at all. Did that fear ever cross your mind? And if it did, was there a plan B in place?
Well, we obviously executed a plan B before the incident really happened that is, you know, really ensnared Kobe into a legal battle. But yes, we had concerns about it. It's obvious that it's a very intense emotional thing. Mentally, I think it really hurt Kobe. Emotionally, you know, it was devastating, and physically, it came out because he couldn't spend the amount of time that he'd done in previous years preparing for the season, and Kobe's meticulous about preparing physically for a basketball season. So the rehab and the shoulder and knee both went untouched basically until the season was ready to start, and it's taken him a while. In fact, he's still not 100% yet, and I'm waiting for the time that he's close to it.
I'm going to ask you about this because I don't know how often this question gets asked. It's obviously hard on players when something like this happens. How is it on a coach? Have you had to be more of a coach this year in ways you hadn't been a coach for a while?
I think I've been less of a strategist, less of a basketball coach, and more of a person that's observing and kind of mood tempering the team and trying to manage personalities in a way that we can really make this happen as a small community. And embracing the whole group and endorsing and supporting Kobe, you know, in this trial time that he's going through, and pre-trial, I should say, time that he's going through, allowing him the liberties that he has to have to manipulate and manage his life around this. And then trying to adopt new guys onto our team that are, you know, old system players like Karl Malone and Gary Payton has been a real lesson. We're just really getting to the heart of basketball strategy now. We haven't really executed offense or really gotten to multiple defenses at all.
Well, Phil, speaking of personality management, guys like Tony and I sit in the studios all the time across the country and talk about how Shaq and Kobe may never be able to patch this up or that up. How is it going on right now? And do you laugh when you see people saying they may never patch this up?
Well, I do laugh at it because I think that athletes have real short-term memories as far as that goes. They get over things really quickly. These are young men who emotionally play this game at a high level, as high as they actually play it physically. And they get over these things really well. They want to support each other, and they've had success doing it in the past. They're going to do fine.
Well, one guy ready for the big attack apparently is Shaq, who we loved hearing him say he wanted to drop 50 on Don Nelson when you played again because of the hack of Shaq situation. Do you, though, as a coach, have any problem with Don Nelson's, let's say, tactics when you guys play against each other?
No, I really don't. I think it's all part of the game. You have to remember, I played against Don Nelson for numbers of years. Don was a slick manipulator as a player. He was the original Stick'em King. And, you know, we were all aware of the wily ways he played his game. And he's just carried that out in his coaching angles. And, you know, he does all kinds of different types of things to gain advantage in a game. And emotionally, you've got to be prepared for it. But psychologically, you've got to know that you have to be able to adjust.
You mentioned having Payton and Malone. I don't know that any other team you coached, you have brought in real big stars. You had stars for long periods of time. These guys probably hated you. You may have hated them when you played, you know, when you coached against them. How has it been to integrate them to this team and get them to trust you?
One of the very first practices we had in Hawaii during training camp, I'm refereeing the scrimmage, And, you know, Carl goes in and does his lean-in move to a player and misses, and I call a foul, and he goes to the line, and I give him the ball, and I say, Carl, you know, I know you get a lot of calls. You've been in the line more than anybody else in the NBA. Don't expect to get these calls in scrimmages. I'm going to give it to you this time. And Carl takes the ball, and he says, Coach, you used to hate me getting in the line, but now you're going to love it a lot. And that's the truth. Yeah, we used to hate him being able to get to the line 10 times a game. But we like to see him, do it when it's on our side. It's been real easy to lay it down simply because they've ingratiated themselves very easily and very well to this team and to the coaching staff, and they're great to work with, so we've really enjoyed their company.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
Talent.
Bill Parcells
The Lakers lost again last night. This time it was in Denver, where Kobe Bryant was booed loudly and consistently throughout the game. And, Mike, I don't care to discuss if the Lakers are in a slump or not. We do that every day.
What about when Dallas has enough defense?
I don't care.
Okay.
I care to discuss Kobe Bryant. You have had him going to Memphis or Phoenix as the star free agent. But with Shaq and Karl Malone out, are we learning that Kobe Bryant can't by himself carry a team?
He can't by himself carry this team. And I think some of that may be some resentment from older players, and it's not the first time we've seen that, who just sort of shrug and say he's not passing it enough. We heard Shaq say that very publicly on the eve of the season. So I don't think Kobe by himself can carry this team. I mean, without Shaq, Kobe hasn't been able to carry it. The team is winning about 50%, 57% of its games. Without Shaq, Tony, without Kobe.
No, they're winning a lot more games.
4 and 7.
They're winning a much higher percentage without Kobe than without Shaq. But that figures because Shaq's the MVP of the league. He should be the MVP of the league all the time.
But it doesn't mean Kobe can't carry any team. Well, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers.
I think that the Kobe Bryant we are seeing now, and again, I'm surprised he's played this many games. I don't think this is the real Kobe Bryant. This may be the Kobe Bryant we see for a while, but I think psychologically he's damaged. I don't think this is the real Kobe Bryant. Do you?
Tony, what is the real? Is he 100% of what he was 3 years ago when they were in the middle of that championship run? Maybe not, but he's pretty damn close. He had 27 last night.
I don't think his head's in the game in the same way. And I don't see how it could be.
I don't know that.
It's not Peppers. Julius Peppers and Dr. Peppers.
Yeah, I know you couldn't do it. Tony, the L.A. Lakers cannot stay out of the news.
And Sergeant Peppers.
Cavaliers guard Kedrick Brown landed on Kobe Bryant's surgically repaired right shoulder last night.
Oh, look at that.
Boy. And now we've got more melodrama in La. An MRI has just revealed enough damage that Bryant is going to be out.
He took a 2 to 3
weeks. Do you hear me?
Lefty, he took
2 to
that
3 weeks. He won't be shooting any right now. Tony, this is 3 of the big 4 that have been out for significant time. Is it bad karma what's happened to the Lakers now?
I know you think that because of everything that's happened to them, including the arrest of Kobe Bryant, that you think it's bad karma. What it is bad shooting when you take a 3 with your left hand.
Come on,
he should not have been out on the floor. He would run back holding his right shoulder.
Kobe's a tough kid and doesn't want opponent to think they can just run him off the floor. I understand why he came back.
Asking me a question? Because I'll answer the question.
What?
Okay? It's 2 to 3 weeks in the middle of the season. Yeah. In some ways, this is good for the Lakers, in this way. They get to see if their bench players in meaningful minutes can perform, because in the playoffs they're going to need them to perform. Okay. This is about maybe it's about
Walton and Cook.
Maybe it's about that they won't finish first or second, and they'll have to go on the road. They have won championships on the road, but when they're all healthy, they've done it before. When they're all healthy, they can win. I think when Shaq gets back, he's going to feel good that Kobe's not playing and try to win games
every night.
Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think he won a lot of games.
He wants to win without Kobe.
It's hard to win when you don't have your people together until the All-Star break.
It's an 82-game season. 82 games, and don't worry about it.
All right. There's the Binghamton players in the NFL.
We don't have football.
Thank you. No, you don't. You don't have basketball either. Tony, the Lakers scored a mere 73 points last night and lost in Phila. We'll get back to that.
They wore the old jerseys that Wilt wore.
They look pretty cool. Injured Kobe Bryant, whom Phil Jackson expected in the arena for moral support, he wasn't there. Not that I blame Kobe, considering the verbal abuse he would have faced in Philly, his hometown. Anyway, the Lakers have lost 6 of their last 10 games and have fallen to 5th in the Western Conference. Tony, are we at that point of the season where it's okay to start wondering about your favorite issue? Are the Lakers in real trouble?
It's Groundhog Day. We have this question every single week. Yes, we are not only are at that point now, we have been at that point for a while. Karl Malone, who never gets hurt, is out. Who knows when he's going to come back. Shaq just takes time off in the middle of the season and seems disinterested. Kobe Bryant has played a lot more games than I thought he would play, but his mind cannot possibly be solely on this basketball season. The Lakers said last year they were going to rededicate themselves to winning this year, but that was before Kobe got accused of rape. And that thing, the ripple effect on all those players, and especially Kobe Bryant, is enormous.
It is.
Yes.
There's no question
Yes,
about
it
that.
is.
And even separately and apart from that, you do have this Karl Malone injury. You have Kobe being injured. You have Shaq being injured. I'm not going to second-guess Shaq's effort. I know he's out.
He's just not there.
But as you reminded me years ago, you don't know what goes on in a 7'1", 350-pound body. You don't know. He's hurt. But my point is, I told you weeks ago, they have to have the band together by early March, or you can forget it.
The team looks disinterested.
He matures and evolves.
Well, you are a great American yourself.
Not only was Shaq outplayed by Yao Ming, and not only did the Lakers lose to Houston, there was more serious news regarding the Lakers last night. The team has stopped negotiating with Phil Jackson, whose contract expires after this season. And if that doesn't get your attention, maybe this will. Ask whether Phil's status as coach will affect his future with the Lakers. Kobe Bryant said, and I quote, "Not really. I don't care." Close quote. Tony, it's time for our go-to question. Are the Lakers in trouble?
Lakers have been in trouble since Kobe Bryant was accused of that rape. They have been in trouble from that point on. Kobe Bryant, it doesn't really matter what he says in response to any question, because I don't believe that his head is clearly in the question and answer give and take at this point.
I'll give
He's
you
got
that.
so many
That's a
other
good
things
point.
to worry
That's a
about.
good point.
They're in trouble on the court because Karl Malone, who never gets hurt, is hurt and
He's
still out.
until mid to late
They're in
March.
trouble because Shaq appears to be angry. He appears to be unhappy, and he loves Phil, and if they're not going to negotiate with Phil, Shaq's going to wonder what's happening around here. So, yes, they are in trouble. Can they fix it and become the winning team? Yeah, on the court they can do that,
Tony,
but yes, there is
the window
trouble.
for fixing it is real short. You have to get these people on the court and play. I don't think Shaq's angry. I think he's frustrated.
Let's get to the greater issue.
What?
You've been saying for a while that Kobe Bryant is gone, and the Lakers should trade him.
If I'm the Lakers, I look at the situation, I go to him privately and say, Kobe, what are you going to do? If he doesn't give me 100% assurance he's going to stay, I would try to trade him. And you know where I go looking first? The Philadelphia 76ers for Allen Iverson.
Do you
That's
think
what I would
right
do.
now that Kobe Bryant will be gone after this year to another
From the
team?
Lakers? Yes, I do. Yes.
Lovable, adorable Lawrence Frank.
Tony, even though I'm only a few hundred miles away from Balco, there's a much bigger story locally to Southern California, and of course it involves the Lakers and Kobe Bryant. The LA Daily News reports Bryant has already decided this will be his last season with the Lakers, citing 3 anonymous sources within the organization who claim Bryant is declaring to teammates and to coaches that he's going to leave and become a free agent. Tony, is this melodrama going to further fracture the Lakers, or there's so many things already going on, it simply doesn't even matter?
Yeah, I don't think it'll further fracture the Lakers any more than they have been fractured. I mean, this was a team that they put together to win 70 games or more and win a championship. Now on the court, Malone is hurt, and he's been out for a long time. Shaq has been hurt and was out for a while. But the seminal event, the most important event in this whole thing, goes all the way back before the season when Kobe Bryant was accused of rape. That's the cloud that's hanging over everything. Phil Jackson not getting a contract, Kobe saying he's leaving, the injuries to people. It all stems from the mood created by that, and that hurt the Lakers more than anything.
Well, Tony, I don't know if it stems from that. Some of these things, Kobe Bryant was going to be a free agent regardless of what happened this summer. I mean, he was talking about testing the free agent waters before that. So I don't think it stems from the rape case that's going on. Obviously, that is the cloud that hangs over the Lakers right now.
But that has put a terrible mood over everybody with the Lakers and leads people to say there's bad karma out there right now. This one thing adds a little, but it doesn't add a lot. It just doesn't. I mean, I think
But here's what it does. It plays it out to next season and beyond. If Kobe leaves, Tony, we're talking about the Lakers having to rebuild on the fly, or
yeah,
not,
but
or at least make a big
you're the one
deal.
who has always said that Shaq and Kobe don't get along, and that fracture is so great that they'd both be better off if one left.
I agree with you there.
What about
all those things?
Well, Charles, we'll stay with that one. And I know that Tony, you and Tony were in agreement on Kobe and whether or not he should play. We just heard Kobe say here today that he wants to be a Laker for life. Also says the comments about Phil Jackson and him not caring whether Phil's contract would be resolved or not were taken out of context, even though I think we both thought we heard that. But the Lakers seem to be imploding, Charles. What can reverse this, or is it too late for them this season?
Well, I think, number one, is everybody has to get healthy. But I knew it was a bad idea for Kobe to play this season. You know, it was just too many distractions. Him going to court all the time. Now they got a book coming out where they say like 6 or 7 girls have said this situation
similar has happened with Kobe, not as far as sexual assault, but they've been put in uncomfortable situations, which those people shouldn't be allowed to write that book. I think it's really unfair. It's just unfortunate. I just really, I feel bad for, number one, the young lady. I don't ever want to leave her out. And I feel bad for Kobe because I think he's a good kid and just in a bad situation.
Do you think he's going to be in a Laker uniform next season?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I thought that was one of the stupidest things I'd ever heard when he announced, him and Jim Gray last year announced he's going to opt out of his contract next year. There's no reason to talk about that. That's just another distraction. And the thing with Phil Jackson the other night, Kobe shouldn't have said what he said. And I'm about ready to write the Lakers off. I think that thing with Phil Jackson might be the nail in their coffin.
Shaq and Kobe, it's been quiet so far, but you've been able to watch them play and interact with each of them a little bit. Do you think that thing is mended enough that if they do get on the court healthy, they can play and look anything like a championship team?
Well, I think the problem is I like Kobe Bryant. I respect Kobe Bryant, but he's not the same player. He is distracted. I love all those idiots out there who said, well, he should play because he can get away from this. First of all, that's no way possible that he can get away from this situation. Going to court all the time, people shouting bad things in the stands, but you could just see he's not having fun. He might do the phony smile or whatever, but you can tell he's distracted, and rightfully so.
You know, the other part of that, Charles, is that people said there'd be sanctuary on the court, but there isn't because he doesn't even get along with his teammates. So, I mean, it's a doubly bad situation. Let me shift gears. The other night, Yao had a great game against Shaq, and Shaq has not had a good year. Do you see this as a turning point in the history of these franchises?
Well, I think the Lakers are obviously right now, it's been a disastrous season, and that's being kind. Obviously, it's unfortunate Karl Malone got hurt. Shaq got hurt. But the thing with Kobe is just such a distraction. And there is no haven when he's on the court. That's impossible. And people who say that, they're just flat out stupid.
Come see How at MSN.com.
By the time we filtered out all the emails that mocked Wilbon's Friday wardrobe,
Hey.
we were left with just 5, so let's get the first one.
Mail time!
I get the first one.
You got to handle it all yourself today, big boy.
The Denver Post says the Nuggets will make a play for Kobe Bryant in the offseason if he is acquitted. Isn't Denver the last team that should be interested in Kobe?
Well, the Nuggets are not the last team that should be interested in Kobe. The Nuggets should be very interested in Kobe. Whether Kobe can exist in a city where he has gone through this trial, presuming the trial still comes off, that's what I can't see. It's not the team, it's the location. I don't know how this would work. It's tough enough right now for him to play in Los Angeles, much less Denver.
I don't know why he would ever want to go to Colorado again for any reason if he is acquitted. And from a basketball standpoint, why would you go to a team where their best player, Carmelo Anthony, is essentially the same player that you are, though not quite as good? Why would you do that?
I don't think you would, Tony. I think maybe Denver is announcing that it's going to be a player. It's flexing and saying, you know what, we're going to be a player. We can look at anybody now. Times have changed.
Yeah, but he's not going there.
No,
that makes
can't
no
believe
sense.
that.
Perhaps lost amid A-Rod, Earnhardt, and John Daly was a little comment Kobe Bryant made in Sunday's Los Angeles Times. In a conversation with columnist T.J. Simers, Kobe said, quote, I don't like Phil as a person, but I love him as a coach. Would I go to lunch with him? No, but I like playing for him, close quote. Tony, if you were running the Lakers, considering Kobe has already alienated both Shaq and now Phil, would you consider trading him between now and Thursday's trade deadline?
If I owned the Lakers, I would not, because not only can't I get equal value, but if I owned the Lakers, I'd like to believe that I could sit in a room with Kobe and I could convince him to stay. See,
isn't T-Mac close to equal value? Isn't Allen Iverson close to equal value?
No.
You love Iverson.
And I don't think I make that trade if I'm the other team, because what if Kobe is declared guilty in court and he can't play anymore? See, here's where you and I differ, I believe, on Kobe. I think that the pressure that he's under, the stress that he's under, has addled him in some way. I think he is saying things now that he would never ordinarily say, and I think once this trial begins, his life is going to change irrevocably. He will either be guilty and he will go to jail, or he will be completely emancipated from this and he'll be a different person.
I have started to agree with you on the pressure making him do things that we didn't see otherwise. I'm starting to agree with you on that, because he did some things, he has done things over the last couple of weeks that you look at and you say, this isn't making this. He's under the pressure of trying to defend his life,
will not
and he has to cut his slack.
Tracy McGrady for
the
Kobe if he only gets 27 games. No, won't do it.
Send
they won't do
Kobe
it.
back home.
Won't do it. They hate him at home.
Well, they wouldn't hate
We're
him for long.
taking a break. When we come back,
Kobe Bryant has a rape allegation, an ever-enduring feud with Shaq, and says he doesn't particularly like Phil Jackson. So naturally, Lakers owner Jerry Buss now says Bryant is going to be a Laker for life. Buss is a cartoon character. I'm most surprised that he had time in his busy schedule of dating 20-year-olds to answer any questions about Kobe.
The shot.
But is he right? Is Kobe Bryant a Laker for life?
I don't know. This thing has so much time to play out. If the owner says Kobe's a Laker for life, that means he's going to pay him. And if Kobe says I'm a Laker for life, that means Kobe intends to stay. So if that's the case, I don't want to hear any more about having to explore free agency.
But this is just talk, though, Kobe. But wouldn't you agree that Kobe probably wants his legacy apart from Shaq? He wants to show people how great he is apart from Shaq.
That's true. But you know what? Somebody points out, I don't even know who it was. Maybe it was actually my brother, who I would hate to give credit for this. Shaq is only going to play a couple of more, 3-4 more seasons. Kobe is still only 25 years old. Right. He may play 10 more seasons. So part of his legacy can be apart from Shaq, even if he's with the Lakers.
What is Kobe doing there? Like, he's already said, I don't particularly like Phil Jackson. Like him as a coach, don't like him necessarily as a person. He's always fighting with Shaq.
The person who normally sits in that chair says, and he says this, and I can believe him with some conviction, that Kobe's not himself right now. That the stress he's under while enduring a rape trial and the preparation for that and then the trial has him saying things that he wouldn't normally say, and he's not really Kobe right now, and it should be discounted. I think there is something.
I don't think this is Jerry Buss's decision. This has nothing to do with Jerry Buss.
It's only Kobe's decision.
It's all Kobe.
That's right.
Our favorite people.
That's right. Talking about more stories, starting with the Lakers. Kobe Bryant is going to miss either a week to 10 days or up to a month, depending on what reports you believe. If it's a month, that would leave the Lakers less than 2 full weeks of the regular season to get their entire team on the floor. Bob, the Big Four, Shaq, Kobe, Mailman, and GP, went 18-3 out of the gate. But doesn't it look like the story of this year's Laker team will be injuries and promise unfulfilled?
Now, here's the happy face. Medivenko and Luke Walton are turning out to be players.
They are playing.
That's a happy face. But let's get serious. There's bad karma with this whole thing. Ever since they were 18-3. There were only 5 games over 500 since then.
That's right.
Malone, he may have just pushed the envelope once too often. He's never been hurt before. Who knows how he's going to react to
he's never had to deal with a rehab or coming back.
Mental,
I know he wants to play.
He's a strong-minded guy, God knows. But this is a new experience. And when you're not supposed to have new experiences in professional sports when you're 41
or whatever. It's just winning the championship.
And here's the other thing to me is that there's plenty of viable competition. They have great competition to get through the West. Sacramento, I think we all agree, it's now or never.
You and I agree. Tony wouldn't agree. But let's go back to Kobe for a second. Right. You think Kobe's out for a week to 10 days like he and Phil say? They have not put him on the injured list as of now, or is he going to be out a month? That's a big deal.
Oh, that's a huge deal. I don't know.
Right.
You're not a
conference semis.
You're not a 500 team. What's next? Kobe Bryant playing hurt.
I'm the good cop.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
I'm the good cop.
Yes.
You've been wrong about everything you said all year about Kobe. He's not going to play. The court's not a sanctuary. And then you said, oh, he can't play hurt. What's he doing?
Right.
Shooting left-handed. He had 38 last night, 24 in the fourth quarter of an important victory. This helps him maybe get to the 3rd spot. You're wrong again.
I may have been wrong, but at least I have been consistent. I have said all along that this is a terrible risk. And you know what? It looks like you're right now. But tomorrow night or the next night, he's all trussed up like he's wearing a corset. If he gets hurt, if he loses time and can't play the playoffs,
can't win.
This is okay.
But he could get hurt anytime.
But this is foolishness.
No.
Rest this. Don't play against Orlando. Orlando
You're wrong
stinks.
for the 3rd time.
What's next? The tabloids in New York City are foaming at the mouth over the prospect that Kobe Bryant will end up with the Knicks. In today's New York Post, there's a story that says Isaiah Thomas has told confidants he will make a big pitch to get Kobe, and to support this notion, the Post suggests that Phil Jackson may want to work a sign and trade for Allen Houston. I wouldn't even put Whitney Houston in the same sentence with Kobe Bryant, but what do I know? Wilbon, is New York a good place for Kobe Bryant, and do you think he will end up there?
Any place with a basketball team is a good place for Kobe Bryant.
Is he going there?
I don't know where he's going to wind up. We've heard so many cities. I'll tell you what I've been hearing.
You keep saying
Let me tell
Phoenix.
you. Yes, I've been saying it, but let me tell you what I've heard all weekend.
Right.
The Clippers.
That's crazy.
To me, it seems crazy.
You do
Why
not
would
go
Kobe
to
Bryant
the second
want to be
team.
the number 2 guy in town? Why would he want to be with Avis? I don't
You know what
get
I find interesting?
But I hear that a lot.
My position on Kobe has stayed the same throughout this whole year, which is that right now and until the end of this trial, anything he says or does can be discounted.
He didn't say this. He didn't say
anything said about him can be discounted. But I also hear that the owner of the Lakers, if push came to shove,
would rather keep Kobe Bryant than Shaquille O'Neal.
Clearly. But here's the deal. If you're Isaiah Thomas, aren't you trying whatever you can do to get Kobe Bryant to come as a free agent? And if all you got to give up is Allen Houston, which, by the way, I don't believe for
do you think Phil would rather have Allen Houston than Kobe Bryant?
No.
We're taking a break.
He's got it now. I think Minnesota's got a great shot at getting through.
Tony's going a whole question without asking about the Lakers, so I'll jump in there. Kobe scored 45 last night after refusing to shoot the ball in the previous game. What in the world is going on, David, and what can the Lakers expect of Kobe Bryant when the playoffs begin?
Can't you feel the love in Lakerland? It's just
Leaping out.
It is unbelievable. This season, and even by Laker standards, this season has been off the charts, goofy, and it's going to be that way throughout the playoffs. Kobe now demanding to know who talked to the LA Times on Monday when none of his players will give it up. I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to mention them here. This team is just dysfunctional. It's just going to be dysfunctional all season long. Their only chance is when they play defense. They play defense about every 3 games, and that's not good enough in the playoffs.
They've
so they're going to have
been
problems.
dysfunctional before.
Yeah,
and they have won
not like
before. So you count them out?
No, I don't count unless they commit to defense, which again they only did once in a while during the regular season. Most of the time they were kind of indifferent about defense. Like last night, they give up 104 points to the Golden State Warriors, which is absurd. You have to play defense every night in the playoffs. Now, they're lucky because they're probably going to get Dallas in the first round, and Dallas doesn't play any defense at all.
Speaking of teams that are indifferent about defense, that leads me to this.
And Phil Jackson joins us for 5 good minutes. We begin with Kobe Bryant. You'll remember that 3 games ago, Kobe didn't shoot hardly at all for 3 full quarters, scored only 8 points. Game after that, he got 45. Last night, double OT win at Portland. Kobe scored 37 points and made 2 impossible shots. 1 to force overtime and 1 to win the game. Wilbon, you left 3 messages on my machine last night. The third one simply said, I cannot believe what Kobe Bryant just did. I simply can't believe it. Explain it.
Tony, you have to watch, you have to set it up. I'm watching both games. I'm watching Sacramento.
Stink.
Go down in flames at Golden State. They look dreadful. And you keep going back and forth. And the Lakers need this game to win the Pacific Division and not finish in 4th. And the game's over. The game's over twice. The game's over in regulation because Ruben Patterson is all over Kobe Bryant, who can't even see the rim. He throws that shot in, which is insane. And then to make the last shot down 2. Game's over. 1 second. Tony, I don't even know. Michael Jordan must have done this at some point where he saved the game in regulation and won it in overtime. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's impossible to do what Kobe did.
You know that I've believed for years that he's the best all-court player in the game.
Yes, you have. I know you do.
Can his teammates trust him now? I mean, after what just happened,
he presented them the division title last night. Shaq had fouled out.
This is what I'm saying.
Malone had limped off with a sprained ankle.
If Shaq and Karl Malone are in there, will they let Kobe do that? And will Kobe want to do that, or will he defer? Will it work?
I think he won't want to. I think they don't know how it will work. We'll have to ask Phil Jackson that later. But, Tony, just for last night, that moment, I was screaming like a maniac about what Kobe did. Unbelievable.
You're a maniac. Woo. Maniac. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers have provided some real drama this season, and so we welcome Coach Phil Jackson to the program. And, Phil, before we get started, I feel in fairness, I should point out that I have picked the Lakers to win, and Wilbon has picked against you again this year.
Did you suck up when you were covering Phil when he was a player in the Knicks, too?
Way to go.
I picked you to win. Wilbon has picked against you, so we're on the record on that.
All right. Now, this team is played like schizophrenic for the last 3 weeks. They've been great, they've been so-so, they've been okay, and they've been bad. And now, the last 2 games, we had to play great to finish the season. So I don't know what we're going to get. They're schizophrenic.
Well, let's talk about the last game, because in watching those shots that Kobe made last night, I don't think there are 10 people in America that could believe he made those shots in the manner in which he made them. What was it like for you sitting there watching it? Did you believe it?
Well, I've come to expect that, if Kobe can find an open look, he's got a great opportunity of putting shots in. I mean, incredibly, he put in 2 shots last night to tie the game and to win the game, basically, the regulation. And incredibly, he missed 2 free throws in overtime, I think it was, that would have set up the game in a whole different structure that you never expect him to do. So, I mean, it was just one of those roller coaster rides that we had last night. But he's an amazing player when he gets a look at things, and he's focused on what he's trying to get accomplished.
Well, Phil, it also seems clear that things go better when Kobe actually shoots the ball as opposed to that game in Sacramento. How does this get resolved? And I know that's part of the roller coaster, but what have you made of that whole thing that's happened over the past 3 or 4 days, and how do you resolve it?
There's a pattern of things that have gone on. There's some big games, San Antonio and Sacramento, and there was a game that we had versus Portland in that week that was a mired week, and Kobe took a lot of shots and had a hard time driving into crowds, getting shots blocked, wasn't trusting his open shot, and as a consequence, we came across not very good in those games. Although the San Antonio game was close enough to have a shot at it down the stretch. Those are disappointing things to this ball club. There's some residual effect from that, and the players, I think, felt, like, hey, we didn't get trusted in this game, and Kobe tried to take on too much. The response was, Kobe said in Sacramento, here, you guys, I'm being double teamed. Here's some open looks. Take some shots on your own. We shot 21% or something in that ball game. His response on Tuesday night against Golden State was he shot the ball almost every time the first half, got 24 points. We're still down by 10 points. So that's not a remedy. And then we started playing team ball the second half and came away with the win in that ball game. And that's the response we have to have from both sides. And this is not a conflict going on. It's just a discrepancy of how do we get things flowing with this basketball club with a lot of guys that have been the target players in their offense for the last 15 to 18 years in the NBA.
I wanted to ask this. I used the word melodrama before, and I'm sure that's an accepted term of art about the Lakers this year and probably last year as well. I don't want to be revisionist. Was it like this with the Bulls, and have I just forgotten?
No, never. There was drama. Well, it was never about the game itself. It was about the little insinuendos, the things that were happening off the court, the Dennis Rodman diversions that were going on, Michael Jordan gambling. I mean, what was that about? That was something off the court. There was never anything that was about the game and about the team happening on the court, or the complexity between the personalities.
Well, Phil, let's go back to on the court for a second. You're going to face the Rockets with Yao Ming. Yep. Does Yao get under Shaq's skin? I know Shaq has said he doesn't, but sometimes it seems like Yao does.
Yao, the thing that gets, Shaq, I think, more than anything else, is that he turns around and the Houston's double-teaming him. They're playing him with Cato, and Yao's coming over to double-team him when he catches the ball. And, at the other end of the court, he's trying to handle Yao by himself, because I'm not a guy that does a lot of two-timing on the floor. And, he feels like it's unfair to compare the matchups as a one-on-one battle. It's not a one-on-one battle. But the reality is that Shaq knows that this kid is his size, can score, does have a game that he's got to respect, and he has to pay attention to him the whole game and can't just roam around as a defensive stopper.
Given the fact that you would have to go through Houston in the first round, perhaps San Antonio, and then Minnesota, that's a lot. Those are 3 really good teams.
That's why you picked against them.
Chill out for a second. Phil, how do you, given all we've asked you and what you've said, how do you assess your chances right now going into the postseason?
Well, I've always maintained this, that you play as well as you can. Don't try to set up the brackets. Don't try to manipulate anything. Just go ahead and play. Do the best you can do every game. We've done the best we could do. I wish we could have done better against San Antonio 2 weeks ago Sunday and against Sacramento last Sunday. But we did. That would have made a whole difference in the world. Those are under the water under the bridge. Now you just go forward. If you have to take on the best team, so be it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Phil.
Phil. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Jackson, boys and girls, we're taking a break. When we come back, well, all right, so then we're going to move off Roger Bannister in the mile, Charles, and we'll go to the playoffs. I'm afraid that the team I like most, the Los Angeles Lakers, may be done. Are they done?
Yeah, they're done. I thought they were done before the season started. Hey, as much as I love Karl Malone and Gary Payton, they just got too much wear and tear on their body. They're just old guys. People think you can. They are Karl Malone and Gary Payton. If you put this team together 5 years ago, the Lakers wouldn't lose a game. But those guys, Gary Payton's older because he played killer minutes, and Karl Malone's 41. It's just too much wear and tear on their bodies.
It is striking when you watch the games that Parker and Ginobili are right by everybody all the time.
Well, you know what? you just got to look at Michael Jordan's the greatest player ever, and you saw what happened to him the last couple of years. You can't compete with young guys. You can have flashes of brilliance because you were great players, but those guys, they're Hall of Fame players, but they're past their prime.
Do you then think, as you watch this develop, do you then think that the winner of this series, if it's San Antonio, I know you think it'll be San Antonio, are they the best team in all of basketball? Will they win the whole thing?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think people should look past Detroit or Indiana. I think Detroit-Indiana is going to be a remarkable series. And the biggest difference, when the Lakers won their championship, the big difference was Shaquille O'Neal. I call him the great unequalizer. Nobody can get even with him.
But we start with the Lakers and Kobe Bryant, who just pleaded not guilty to a charge of felony sexual assault. As if there isn't enough theater surrounding the Lakers going into Game 4 here tonight, there's the added drama of Kobe Bryant once again attempting to play after a long day of court proceedings in Colorado. Bryant has made it back successfully 3 times this season and performed fabulously each time. But Dan, these are the playoffs. Is there going to be too much for the Lakers to overcome?
I think the Spurs are going to be too much for the Lakers to overcome. Not necessarily this. Kobe Bryant strikes me as one of those guys, Michael, like Barry Bonds. His father is dying. He puts up unprecedented numbers. Steroid allegations, unprecedented numbers. Gets into a fight with Jim Leland, MVP season. Kobe Bryant seems to me to ratchet it up when everything is around him and he's believing in only himself.
Well, I mean, he has done that, and he did one of those games I referred to. Dan was against Sacramento, but there is more pressure in the playoffs. This is the Lakers' biggest game of the season. They came up with a grand game on Sunday.
Pressure doesn't bother this guy. It bothers him less than it bothers anyone in the league on the basketball court.
That may be true individually, Dan, but what about collectively? The Lakers have to. The great thing about Kobe on Sunday was he was under control. He only took 13 shots. What about tonight in terms of his teammates? It's not just about him in this case. They have to win this ball game, or their season's going to be that far from being over.
But it's the biggest game of their season. But I ask you this: who would you like most to have the ball in his hand at the end in the biggest game of your season? It's still Kobe Bryant.
If you're the Lakers, it is definitely Kobe Bryant. And again, I'm not saying that I expect him to have a bad game, but when you come and look at the playoffs and the situation the Lakers are in, Phil Jackson has said, Dan, the pressure's still on us. We still have to win. It's a lot to expect for him to come in and do this a 4th time against a team as good as San Antonio.
Those are the best things. Okay, I start the real show now, the part that has real news value, by giving some dap to you, Tony.
Thank you.
For picking the Lakers to beat the Spurs. You and my brother Don, who wants dap too. Now, that's
Can of dap. Thank you.
Since deciding to actually start playing with some passion in Game 3, the Lakers are 4-0. More important is that they just look great. Tony, Sacramento, the T-Wolves, the Pacers, the Pistons, they're all pretty good. But is there anybody out there who's a real threat to beat the Lakers?
No, I don't think so, which is why since the playoffs began, I've been picking the Lakers. I thought a very significant thing happened at 0-2 for the Lakers.
What?
Gary Payton got sort of chesty, and he said, you're all here to pin it on me. You're going to make me the scapegoat, so go ahead, pin it on me. Tony Parker then disappeared in this series.
Yes, he did.
He was the best guard in the world until Game 3, and then he wasn't the best guard in the world. And I
How about a little dap for Phil Jackson? He read them the riot act on the Saturday before Sunday's Game 3, and they seemed to have responded.
Amazingly, Phil left the position of sitting and talked to somebody and said, you guys are going to be out of here.
I don't call it amazing, Tony. I say that Phil waits until it's time to talk, as opposed to every college coach who spins out of a jacket within 3 minutes of the start of the game. People say, oh, that's coaching.
His timing was great.
Yeah.
Peyton was great. Malone was great. Shaq, Kobe.
Nobody can beat them. The Pacers, the Kings.
No, at the beginning of the year when they put that team together and we thought they could win 70, that team is healthy and ready to play right now. We had Steve Kerr on this program a couple of weeks ago, and he told us the Spurs would beat the Lakers. So we're having him back today to apologize to all of our viewers for getting it wrong. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, I got it wrong. My fault. Are you happy now, Tony?
I'm pretty happy about that, and it leads me into this question. At this point, can anyone beat the Lakers?
Well, yeah, I didn't think that they could beat the Spurs, and certainly when they were down 2-0, they showed me a lot when they got up off the mat and really defended like crazy. For the first time all year, they looked like they really were competing together. And if they do that, then nobody can beat them. The question is, will they, though? Because they've never really been consistent all season. So we'll see.
That was Wilbon's point, that's my point. Why did they wait 8 games into the playoffs to wake up and start playing? I found that made me crazy, Steve, because you were part of a Bulls team that played every night. That one thing about the Lakers bothers me.
It bothers me too, and that's just something that, if you're a purist, I think you kind of feel that way. You want them to compete all year, but you got to give them credit. They turned it on when they had to, and they're pretty amazing. They're a talented group.
You've been watching Kobe like I have. I mean, a lot of nights in person. You played with Michael Jordan in some spectacular years. He finished off playoff games. Do you sit there, Steve, and find yourself comparing Kobe and Michael individually in their talents?
Game 4 I did. That was one of the most unbelievable performances I've seen. It reminded me a lot of Michael. And I think Kobe has similar skills and talents and determination. I think the key with him is he still has some growth to do in terms of trusting his teammates, I think. And that's where Michael got a lot better as his career went on. He started to realize he had to rely on his teammates more. And I think Kobe still has to learn that a little bit, sooner or later.
All right, I want to get one last question before we go. You played for Phil Jackson, and Wilbon alluded to this before, on teams that gave 100% every night. Do you think Phil is okay with this adjustment to a team that seems to think it can turn it on and off like a light switch?
I don't think he likes it at all. I think this team has driven him crazy, but I think he's adapted to them, and he's adjusted, and he made some great adjustments in that series, and they started playing for him and competing in Game 3. So apparently they're adapting to each other, but I know it's been a tough season for Phil.
Then the yes or no as we leave, do you think Phil Jackson will coach the Los Angeles Lakers next year, Steve?
I do not. But you know how my predictions go.
No, but you might know this one. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
And we will have you back. We'll rip you if your picks are wrong, as you know.
I'm sure you will.
Next, number 6, Kobe Bryant winning over or under 6 NBA titles in his career.
I'm over. And this is going to bother you because that means that's one more than Michael Jordan. I'm going to tell you why I'm over. What? He's 25 years old. He's got 3 already. I think he's going to get one this year.
Yeah,
that's going to give him 4.
Yeah.
That means he has 2 times, to be a free agent and sign wherever he wants for the rest of his career and would only need 3 more. I think he'll do it.
I think he can get to 6. I think 6 is the number. I think it's a push. I think he'll win 3 more titles, 1 this year, and maybe 2 more as a free agent somewhere else. Maybe he could go to Philly. Maybe he stays in L.A. But without Phil and Shaq, I don't think you just stay there and win titles.
Michael Jordan didn't win his first. He was 28 years old.
That's right.
Kobe's 25. You have to like his odds for winning 7 or 8 titles.
I like the chances.
He's a great
it depends
player.
on who he's playing against. He's got to go against LeBron soon, up and coming. Carmelo. Got to go against a lot of guys. What's next?
A push? Smack him upside the head, please. Next.
To mingle with the contestants. Let us start with the Lakers. Wilbon, you're in Los Angeles covering that series. You were there last night when Shaquille O'Neal and Karl Malone blew off the trophy ceremony for winning the Western Conference. You're aware that Mr. Malone and Mr. O'Neal feel they haven't won anything yet. Well, technically, maybe they haven't, but come on, Wilbon. They can't be beaten in the finals.
Well, they could be. I'm not going to dismiss Detroit or Indiana, particularly not Detroit, which seems to be playing well and to close out that series tonight.
Whoa. But all season long, you've been saying that the best 5 teams are in the West, so how can you pick somebody else?
I didn't pick anybody else. Is there something wrong with your ears? Did the insight get into your ears? What I said
would be bad, believe me.
It would be bad.
That would be bad. Yeah.
What I said, you asked me if they had any chance to lose. Yes, there's a chance. People get injured, foul trouble, stuff happens. Now, do I expect the Lakers to lose? No, I expect the Lakers to win. But I talked to Karl Malone at length about, I looked up and said, Karl, what are you talking about? You've done nothing. You've played 18 years in the league. You've been to 2 previous finals. You're going to the Hall of Fame. You helped this team get to the finals. What are you talking about? And he said, I haven't won anything yet. I don't believe I deserve to be out there celebrating the winning of anything. And he was quite serious about it.
But now they have 6 days off, right? The finals don't start until Sunday. So now whatever nagging injuries they have, they can rest them. I've been telling you since the middle of the season, they are the best team. They continue to be the best team. Like, I'd love to see Detroit get in there and win, but neither of those Eastern teams. And Indiana's a very, very good team. Finished way ahead of Detroit this year. Neither of them can beat the Lakers 4 times. Cannot do it.
I don't think that either one of them can. I tell you this, I don't think you thought that Minnesota could win 2 games without Sam Cassell and come damn close in the 6th game on the road, did you?
No, I didn't think they could win 2 without Cassell, but I never thought they could win the series. And hello,
they played really well. Don't say stuff out of reach. Didn't you learn anything from Houston and North Carolina State? Did you learn nothing?
Yeah, I learned that was then and this is now.
Like I thought you learned nothing.
Yeah. 5+ minutes. 95.
Who's going to win Game 3? We'll save that for later. Folks are still buzzing about Kobe Bryant's shot at the end of regulation of Game 2. And it begs the comparison again between Kobe and Michael Jordan, who spoiled us by hitting game winners and backbreakers for 10 years. Tony, I know you never got enough of watching Jordan play to the point that you'd like him to come out of retirement right now and play again next year.
Yes, I would.
Yet, you now think Kobe is as good as Jordan. Are you sure about this?
No. I don't now think Kobe is as good as Jordan. I have thought for quite some time that age for age, Kobe Bryant is as good as Michael Jordan. Okay. I mean, I have thought that.
Although, by the way, ESPN poll nearly 300,000 respondents to the survey. Which player would you rather have at 25, Kobe or Michael?
Okay.
80% answered for they'd rather have Michael.
And I understand that, but the people who are saying that are not remembering the Michael Jordan at 25 who had never won a title. They're remembering the Michael Jordan with Chicago Bulls winning 6 titles in 8 years. That's 35, who they're remembering. Yeah. Kobe Bryant is a great player. Now, what interests me most is we have always thought that it would be easier to be Kobe Bryant to play with Shaquille O'Neal. Tim Legler made the point on TV today that it's easier to be Michael Jordan and not have to share the ball with a great player. It's easier to be Michael Jordan, be the #1 guy and do whatever you want.
Yeah, because you don't have to sacrifice as much. We know Kobe has sacrificed, but let's also point this out. Kobe Bryant, at least I think it was 2 years ago, averaged more shots per game than Michael Jordan did. So Kobe gets his shots.
Yeah, his flaw is that he doesn't have the same shooting percentage as Jordan. And he is not now the player Jordan was at Jordan's height. But I think time for time, 25 for 25, I think he's as good a player offensively.
Further and longer affixed to the bench. He doesn't get his deal together. The radio and the email machines, as Tony likes to call them, are hot, with people screaming at anybody who favorably compares Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan. Never in an NBA Finals game did Jordan go without a basket in the first half, and I certainly couldn't imagine Jordan in his prime having as little impact on a game of importance as Kobe had last night. So, Tony, you're the one on this set who believes Kobe at 25 years old is as good as Jordan at 25 years old. Any of this leading you to reconsider?
Well, let me just ask one question before I go on.
What?
Until Game 3, I was looking pretty good, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Until Game 3. No, the truth of the matter is, and I'm a big fan of Kobe Bryant.
And so am I.
And I think that at a comparable age, he's as good offensively. But the truth of the matter is that Michael Jordan never would have had a game like that. Now, you could argue that Michael Jordan wouldn't have to share the ball with Shaquille O'Neal as Kobe Bryant does. But still, Michael Jordan would have made sure to get to the line. Yep. He would have made sure to hit shots. He would have had at least 25 points on his own. And that's why he's the greatest player of all time. So, yeah, I have to step back from this and say that Kobe Bryant is not Michael Jordan.
But we both. Now, and you know, I'm always the one who says, no, Kobe's not Michael Jordan. But I fully expect Kobe Bryant to be Kobe Bryant on Sunday night in the Palace. See, I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying I expect Kobe to recover from this and play great.
I know I'm repeating myself. I don't pin this. I mean, occasionally Shaq and Kobe are going to have bad games together.
Yes.
They got nothing. How many points did that team score? 68 points.
Lowest total ever for the Lakers in the shot clock era.
68 points against a team that has no particular offense. You have to look at the Lakers as a team and say, where's the rest of them? Now it's time to talk about ABC and Tom Brady's love life. Let us begin, though, with the Lakers now down 1-3 in the NBA Finals and needing to win all 3 to win. Wilbon, 27 times in the NBA Finals, a team has been down 1-3, and 27 times that team has lost either in the 5th game, the 6th game, or the 7th game. But never has the team that's down 1-3 won the Finals. So I'm going to assume that even you believe this series is over.
Over. Yes, it is. They cannot win without Karl Malone out there. They cannot win with just Shaq and Kobe. They have, because you know what? Without Karl Malone, you know what they are? They're last year's team, which lost in the 2nd round. There's no improvement over last year's squad.
What happened to both Karl Malone, who's been hurt a lot this year, and the vaunted Gary Payton coming in here for one last try to win a championship? I mean, I don't think they can win with just Shaq and Kobe.
They can't.
And I know you think Kobe had a very bad game last night. But I'm saying that the rest of the Lakers, other than Shaq and Kobe, haven't done squad.
They haven't, Tony, and they're not going to. They didn't do it last year. Now, look, here's my one criticism of Phil Jackson. I want to see more of Rick Fox, and I want to see more of Derek Fisher. A lot more. Because Gary Payton is not getting it done. Torched by Billups. He had a better game last night. But Karl Malone's not in the game, Tony. He gave him 21 minutes. Phil wasn't going to start him. Karl came to him and said, let me give it a try. This is why I'm here.
But it's not about Karl.
It is.
You have a problem in Game 4 with Kobe Bryant,
yes,
don't
you? Yes, I do. Because Shaquille O'Neal was damn near perfect. 16 to 21 shots, moving quickly to the ball, getting the ball up and over or around Ben Wallace, a great defensive player. And what happens? Kobe started chucking from the outside. No rebounds, 25 shots, 7 above his average number of shots per game. Tony, it was spectacularly self-absorbed for Kobe to ignore Shaq in the hole.
We spend almost all the time talking about the Lakers. The Pistons have played great.
They have played great.
They've played great.
Yes, they have.
Everything they wanted to do defensively, they've done. How many times have the Lakers gone over 90 points?
Once, maybe?
Maybe. Never over
overtime.
100. I mean, the
Pistons
have exercised their will.
The reason I'm saying it's over is because the Pistons are the better team, and they've already proven it.
I just want to give credit to Larry and Herb Brown. I know him a long time.
That would be. Yeah. So much for Magic Johnson's comments lighting a fire under the Lakers. Over the weekend, Magic ripped the Lakers for taking the Pistons lightly, ripped Karl Malone for sticking his finger in a fan's face before Game 3, ripped Gary Payton for not hitting wide open shots, and said this team was built to win the finals, not just get to the finals. Tony, Magic is usually a very even-tempered guy. What do you think of his comments?
I think he's incredulous at the fact, as are many Laker fans and people like me who picked the Lakers to win, incredulous at the fact that they're losing to a team that doesn't have an offensive player anywhere near as good as their offensive players. They're losing to a team from the East, and this was not expected. I think he is so frustrated because of what he is seeing, because he's a Laker, you know, down to his toes, that he's lashing out because he doesn't know what to do to stop this.
But I think it's an accurate assessment of some of it. I really do.
You're asking me what do I think of it? I mean, I think that's the motivation.
Just a lashing out?
No, I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong in anything he says. It's surprising that Magic would do this, but I think that whole Laker group is saying, how could this be happening to us? And they look for reasons to find.
And part of the reasons he's very clear to identify. I think they might have taken the Pistons lightly at the beginning, not later, because they saw how good and how disciplined and how great defensively the Pistons were. So I think that was over after Game 1. Magic is clearly frustrated.
See, but I don't think any of the Lakers, when you see the Lakers, when they talk, they say, yeah, they're okay, but it's about us.
Yeah,
they are so concerned with themselves. They can't believe they're being beat. They think they're only losing.
Well, they're going to believe it tomorrow or the latest
And Magic
Thursday.
is a Laker, and I don't think he can believe they're being beaten. I think he believes it's their fault.
They're getting beaten.
Next fight. It seems appropriate to begin with tonight's Pistons-Lakers Game 5, which could be the last game of the NBA season. Wilbon, you're going to Detroit for the game. You said the Pistons couldn't possibly win 3 straight at home, and that the 2-3-2 scheduling favored the Lakers getting back to L.A. Well, the Lakers may be going back to L.A., but the Pistons may not be going back with them. Do you still feel the Lakers will win tonight?
Who will win? I still feel the Lakers can win tonight.
No,
I'm getting there.
No, they can
While
win.
I was critical of Kobe Bryant yesterday and not backing off that, crushed him. I think he will have a huge game tonight. The problem for the Lakers is, Tony, I don't think they can win without Karl Malone. And we don't know if Karl Malone will even play, much less be effective. So I guess I'm picking Detroit tonight.
You're picking Detroit. Now, Kobe has guaranteed, in a matter of speaking, it wasn't like a Rasheed Wallace guarantee, but he guaranteed after Game 4 that the Lakers would win Game 5. Because what else was he supposed to do?
He has to. He better. That's fine.
I would think this would be a must game for the Lakers.
Finally, we come to a must game for the Lakers.
Here's my problem.
What do you think's going to happen tonight?
You know that I'm rooting for Detroit and have been rooting all along. I've always thought the Lakers would win one of these 3.
Yeah.
I agree with that, though it doesn't look like they're going to win. And Kobe Bryant looks to be damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. He's criticized for taking too few shots. He's criticized for taking too many shots. Again, I believe it's not Kobe and it's not Shaq. It's the rest of these guys.
That's largely true, Tony, and that's where Karl Malone's absence falls. But Kobe can't take 1 shot, and he can't take 25 when Shaq's on fire. Just play the game the way he knows how. I think he'll be great tonight.
Don't you think Phil should start Fisher and Fox and go with the guys who got him 3 rings?
In the first place.
Yes.
We both agree on that.
Yes.
Will Phil do that?
You got to try that. We begin today with the end of the NBA season. The Detroit Pistons won last night to complete one of the biggest upsets in NBA Finals history, beating down the Lakers 4-1. To add insult to injury, the Pistons, who often this season couldn't score 70 points, scored 100 points against the Lakers. Wilbon, you were there last night, and surely you have to be surprised at how easily the Pistons brushed aside the vaunted Lakers.
What was that line by Jack Buck when he witnessed that home run Kirk Gibson hit? I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, right there courtside, and I swear to you, Tony, particularly in the 3rd and 4th quarter, when Ben Wallace looked like Wilt, he was getting every rebound, and on the offensive rebounds, he would just throw it down on some Laker head. And I was literally stunned and dumbfounded at the dominance the Pistons exhibited
Throughout the course of this series, we saw progressively the Lakers lose their desire. They were beaten to all the loose balls, out-rebounded all the time, out-hustled. I expected much more from the Lakers, not just Kobe and Shaq, all the Lakers, all the Lakers.
Well, and we didn't get it. We never got it. Look, the Lakers are now the first team in NBA history to lose a series 5 games to nothing, okay? Because the one game they won, they were outplayed in most of that game, at least late in the game. It was stunning to me, and to hear, we'll get to some of the other things individually, Phil Jackson say later, essentially, sayonara. Kobe and Shaq came there after the game. They didn't praise the Pistons to me as much as I thought they ought to, given how they got smacked around.
Tremendous upset. The last upset I remember like this is when Golden State beat the Bullets
4-0
about 30 years ago.
4-0 that series too.
He had talent and did not win. Wilbon, the people in Detroit have been screaming for a couple of weeks that nobody's paying attention to the Pistons. And all the stories are framed around the Lakers. Well, they are going to hate this story then, because the reasonable follow-up on this series isn't about what the Pistons are going to do now. It's about what's going to happen to the Lakers. Wilbon, will they lose Phil Jackson?
Yes.
Will they lose Kobe Bryant? Will they lose Karl Malone and Gary Payton?
At least one.
And will Shaq ask out?
I don't think Shaq will ask out immediately. But let's go back to the first one. Phil Jackson, after the game, says he thinks there is, quote, very little chance he will be back as coach next year. And I think he meant not just with the Lakers, but anybody. I mean, can't you see Phil just sort of going to Montana or Idaho, wherever he does, at least for a year? Kobe Bryant reiterated he will opt out. He will test the free agent market, and who knows what will happen.
Testing the free agent market is one thing, but the Lakers can afford to match the offer.
Not just
if they
match,
want
but pay him more.
They can pay him more.
Yes.
And people have said for a long time that if it were up to the owner, Jerry Buss, that he favors Kobe Bryant over Shaquille O'Neal, which is why I'm asking, would Shaquille say, I want out and force a trade?
Well, Shaquille's contract would be up in 2 years. So even if he doesn't force one immediately, and I don't know how you can with a $27 million contract. I mean, there's no George Steinbrenner in the NBA. I mean, you got to fit it under a salary cap, but he could do it after a year. I don't see those two playing more than 2 years.
Gary Payton gone.
You would have to think so.
Karl Malone, if he rests and he comes back and his knee is good, does he stay?
I would like to see it, but I don't know that he will. By the way, maybe Gary Payton plays for a different coach who's not going to be running a triangle offense.
Do you think that the Lakers will be radically different or just somewhat different?
Somewhat different initially, but different enough. They can't go at it again with this nucleus. They can't do it. That's like last year's team was lost in the second round.
There are a ton of moving parts to the dismantling of the Lakers, and to help us sort them out, we are joined by our good friend, the ubiquitous Stephen A. Smith of the Philadelphia Inquirer, in a cinnamon suit. Very natty, wouldn't you say, Bobby?
Oh, I think it's outstanding.
Very, very natty.
Well, I definitely appreciate y'all input on my fashion. Thank you very much.
Very nice. I might buy a couple of those myself coming up. Let's start with Phil Jackson. He is out with the Lakers. Who, Stephen, is in with the Lakers?
We don't know as of yet, but obviously Rudy Tomjanovich is a leading candidate for this position, along with, Henry Bibby's name has been mentioned, but you have to believe that Rudy Tomjanovich, winner of 2 NBA World Championships, one of the few guys in NBA history to have done that, he definitely has to be considered one of the prime candidates for the job.
Let's talk about the big Aristotle, sometimes known as the big runner-up. He wants to get out of Los Angeles, but how can that be made possible?
Well, it can be made in numerous scenarios. First of all, look at the Indiana Pacers. I mean, with all the young talent that they have on their roster, you're talking about Artest, you're talking about Harrington, you're talking about Bender, Greg Foster. All of these guys, obviously, you've got to make wholesale changes and what have you, because Shaquille O'Neal is scheduled to make $28 million this season. But there are a couple of deals that are out there. You're looking at Indiana. Dallas is another possibility. You've got to look at that. Sacramento is another possibility if you're willing to unload Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic for Shaquille O'Neal to end up in Sacramento. The Maloof brothers absolutely love him. Myself and David Aldridge, the other NBA insider for ESPN, we're talking about it just Saturday. I mean, the Maloofs like Shaquille O'Neal a lot. Those are all possibilities.
Well, you mentioned Mark Cuban. Could anybody like Shaq more than him?
I mean, and if he doesn't get Shaq, are they going to make some blockbuster move of some kind?
You would hope so, because they don't have the team built in place to win an NBA championship as far as I'm concerned. They don't play any defense. They don't play good defense. They definitely need an image lift, for lack of a better word. They need to change the complexion of that team, because you've got a whole bunch of individuals that are looking to score the basketball, but no one outside of Steve Nash that even appear to try and play some defense. And that is not the recipe for a championship team. That's just the bottom line. They would desperately need, if not Shaq, maybe somebody like a McGrady, make some changes to make something happen, because what they've done thus far is not working. I'm talking about Don Nelson. I'm not talking about Mark Cuban. He's the owner. He's willing to spend the money. Got to give him credit where it's due. But Don Nelson's team has not played defense in years as far as I'm concerned.
Stephen, Phil Jackson is gone from the Lakers. You've got Shaquille realistically being on the block and being able to be moved. Does this mean Kobe Bryant will stay with the Lakers and that this is a smokescreen, the opting out towards free agency?
Well, the perfect answer to that, Tony, is that the Los Angeles Lakers are praying that it's exactly the scenario you just painted. Remember, you've got San Antonio, you've got the LA Clippers, you've got the Phoenix Suns, all in a position to make a run at Kobe Bryant. It would be embarrassing, and it would be just complete destruction of the Los Angeles Lakers franchise if, after all of the stuff that has transpired in recent days, Kobe Bryant ends up walking away from the Los Angeles Lakers. That is a disaster they simply cannot afford to allow to happen. But if you're looking at the Phoenix Suns, you've got Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion playing in there. That's an attractive situation. You look at the Los Angeles Clippers. The bad part about it is that Donald Sterling owns the team. The good part is that you've got Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, Quentin Richardson, and those guys, with Chris Kaman as your young center. Who
Are you saying that he would stay in the same building and play for another team that isn't as good as the Lakers, doesn't have the traditional Lakers have? He'd actually go to the Clippers? Because I find that hard to believe.
I find it hard to believe as well, but from what I'm hearing, it is a possibility, number one, because his wife and her family would love for them to remain in Los Angeles, and number two, and more importantly than anything else, he has such an ego. He's so anxious to prove that he can win without Shaquille O'Neal, that anything is possible with Kobe Bryant. He's a hard guy to predict. He really is.
Thank you, Stephen.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Stephen A. Smith, boys and girls. We're taking a break. When we come back,
Still like San Antonio as long as Duncan draws a breath.
Okay.
A trade involving Tracy McGrady, well, that's big. But a trade involving Shaquille O'Neal, that's big. But the big guy does want out, and the Lakers appear ready to accommodate him. New York Post Peter Vesey says the Clippers are Shaq's most ardent suitors. Tony, trading Shaq within the conference is eye-opening enough. But the same building?
You can't trade him to the Clippers for this one fear. Let's just say Shaq leaves, Phil is gone. Let's say Kobe opts out and actually goes somewhere. You can't risk, if you're the Lakers, that in your building the Clippers are going to outdraw you for spite because people want to see Shaq. And you shouldn't trade him within a division or within a conference even. You should try to make a trade if you're going to trade him to the East. But he makes so much money, I don't know how they trade him.
Of course. The number of people that could even begin to think about taking him on is very, very small. But the Clippers are serious about this. Apparently, they're getting ready to jettison such guys as Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, and Quentin Richardson, just to name three. And as far as the idea, the Lakers are still the Lakers with the history, the tradition, and they're going to have Kobe, who Jerry Buss is betting on. And I don't think that Shaq, though he can get a team into the playoffs, can be a magnetic draw.
Okay. Well, I think he can be a magnetic draw. Do you really think he would end up with the Clippers?
I find it extremely
The Lakers won't do that.
difficult to believe. But Shaq, well, I think Jerry Buss, he's made it clear. He'll do anything if it protects Kobe, and he'll even sending Shaq in the same building.
But it doesn't protect Kobe. If you have Shaq in the same building and they make a big move and the Lakers go down, it makes Kobe look good. It's not wise for your franchise to trade him into the building.
But maybe the unspoken assumption here is that they think he's on the downside. You know, he is 32. He does weigh 577 pounds.
I'll take him. Okay, I'll take him right now. The Charlotte Bobcats. Let's get the first one from our producer over the loudspeaker.
Toss up, better coach for the Lakers, Rudy T or Pat Riley?
I'm taking Pat Riley. Now, I don't want the Pat Riley of the Knicks. I don't want the Pat Riley of the Heat. Slow it down and thug it up. I don't want that. But if he goes back to L.A. with Kobe Bryant, maybe even Shaq, that's a Showtime situation. Re-energizes Pat Riley. I'm taking Riles.
He's not going to have Kobe and Shaq. First of all, he's not going to have Shaq. Secondly, you're right. You don't want that. It would be a disaster. It would be a traffic jam on the Santa Monica Freeway by the third quarter if they have to watch the sludge that he was putting out on the floor.
I don't think that he would do that.
Rudy T is the guy because Rudy T proved in Houston time and again that he can deal with the big stars. He's a soothing presence. They need a soothing
How many
presence.
times did he make the playoffs in his last 4 seasons?
You know, you got to have some horse.
Would it be zero?
All right.
Would it be 0?
It might be.
Pat Riley, how many rings? More than Rudy T. And Rudy T's got 2. What's next?
I do.
So
Yes.
what?
I'm Mark Cuban, Tony, and you're Don Nelson. Or vice versa, it doesn't matter. Forget the Clippers, forget the Pacers, forget Sacramento, forget them all. The fact is, we both want Shaq more than anyone else does. But we might have to give up Dirk Nowitzki to get him, should we?
Well, you talked a second ago about the rings that Stevie Francis didn't have. Dirk Nowitzki's a great player. How many rings does he have?
0.
Okay, how many does Shaq have? Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Okay. See, you can't have an untouchable on Dallas if you've never won anything. If you have the opportunity to get Shaquille O'Neal, you move heaven and earth to do so, because if you look back on the history of the NBA, as I know you know, other than Jordan's Chicago Bulls, every other team that has won the title has had a good to great center, most often a great center. I would, if I'm Mark Cuban or Don Nelson, I make this deal to get Shaq.
What they have now in Dallas, what they've had for a couple of years, is nice. It's good.
Yeah, entertaining.
Tony, you're totally right. It is not good enough. And I'm not, this is not a diss on Nowitzki.
He's good.
It's putting him in his proper place. He's not a franchise. He's a very nice player who maybe you have a higher opinion of than maybe you should, because he's such a phenomenon. There's a big difference between being an achiever and a phenomenon. He's a 7-footer with a gorgeous jump shot. He can run the floor, put up numbers. But he doesn't even take Germany to wins. They should have an international play, let
Shaquille
alone the
O'Neal
NBA.
is the most dominating player in the game. And so if you can get him, you get him. Because right now, Dallas isn't as good as San Antonio. If the trade goes through for McGrady, I don't think they're as good as Houston either. But if you get Shaq, you're the best in the West at that point. So don't get the save.
He's
Next.
blessed.
Last one looks familiar as well. 6. Kobe Bryant winning over or under 6 NBA titles in his career.
And I'm going under. A couple of weeks ago, I was asked this question, and I went over.
Going under?
Yeah, because I assumed that they were going to beat the Pistons, and they were going to have 4 right there. Now, that was in the post-Spurs, glory. It was pre-Phil quitting, pre-Shaq saying, I want out of there, pre-Gary Payton saying, I don't want out of there, and pre-Pistons eviscerating them. So I would ask you this. Could I get the number down to 3? I'd like to get the number 3.
I'm going under also, and I'm going biblical on you. Pride goeth before the fall. This guy is not Michael Jordan. I finally figured it out. He does not, and once life without Shaq starts for him, which apparently it will start next year, one or the other, he will find out what it really means to carry a team without the big guy in the middle, without the luxury that he's had, and he isn't up to it. And I don't think he'll ever be up to it, because he is phenomenally arrogant about who he is in the world.
Here's my question. Who do I have to sleep with to get the number to 3 and not 6 on this one? Time for a break. But we start with what is overshadowing the NBA draft tonight. That is the NBA Hot Stove League. Wilbon would love it. For 2 days, we've been saying Tracy McGrady is going to Houston. Okay, he may not be. But we do know that Dallas has made a move to get in position to take a run at Shaquille O'Neal. They picked up the 5th pick in the NBA draft from the Washington Wizards, and Jerry Stackhouse, and Christian Laettner as well, and gave up Antoine Jamison, one of their 2 Twans. Why do you think Dallas made this trade? They could not want Stackhouse and Laettner.
No, not at all. It's that pick has great value, apparently. Suddenly, that pick is a flexible pick, whether they're flipping it for a player, or there's even a rumor about the Boston's 3 number 1s, which, by the way, are 15, 24, and 25. But that pick is the thing, that they own a valuable building block, a valuable chip.
So they don't use the pick for Shaquille. They use it to get a player that would interest the Lakers in making the deal with them.
Very possible.
All right, Mark Cuban, who, by the way, would be George Steinbrenner in the NBA if there was no salary cap in the NBA. He would get everybody. Once again, has assembled about 53 players that don't make a team. Do you think he has a chance of getting Shaquille O'Neal?
I absolutely do. I think it's one of the best chances. Shaquille would go there, I think, willingly. Everybody wants to play in Dallas now. It's the hot place. And, in terms of all the amenities, he's such a player-friendly owner. Sure, absolutely. I think he could get him. And I think there's plenty of time between now and whenever they throw the ball up next November.
Don't you find it amazing that right now, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, 3 of the best 5 or 6 players in the whole game, they're all up in the air right now?
Unprecedented, but the kind of thing that couldn't happen a generation ago. Guys have leverage. I mean, in a sense, they have, even if it's just whining and petulance, they've got leverage.
I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about putting my toss-up streak on the line against Stephen A.
Oh, stop it.
But I'm confident I'll pull it out for you, my beautiful fans. Let's get the first one from the producer over the loudspeaker.
Toss up more likely landing spots for Shaq, the Lakers or the Mavs?
I'm going to say the Lakers, because if I ran the Lakers, I wouldn't trade him, and I certainly wouldn't move him until I knew definitively what Kobe Bryant was going to do. When you move a superstar, you always lose. You never get equal value. Not with Wilt, not with Kareem, not with Barkley, never.
when you come out in the same press conference that where you said that Kobe Bryant is not going anywhere, he's going to have to walk away from you, but in the same breath you say, you know what, Shaquille O'Neal, oh, we'll trade him. You know what, there is no turning back from that. They have got to trade Shaquille O'Neal.
I'm just saying, if I ran the Lakers, I wouldn't do it.
Mitch Kupchak and Jerry Buss cannot be anywhere near Shaq. I'm telling you, it can't happen.
I
He
would
cannot
take
be in
my
LA. It's
chances
over.
with his
It's over.
attitude. I wouldn't let him go. What's next?
Toss-up, more likely ending for Kobe, the Lakers or free agency?
I'm going to say the Lakers because the fans love him despite his problems. Phil is gone. Phil Jackson is gone. He didn't get along with Phil. He may not be buddy-buddy with Shaq, but they won 3 titles together, so it's obviously that they can play together. I just think he's going to stay there.
Well, of course he's going to stay there, in my opinion, even though it's still possible he could go to San Antonio or Phoenix.
Why?
Because you know what? They've got a good young team. They've got the parts, and they'll have the money.
LA is a great basketball city.
Yeah,
and LA
but
is where
again,
he's done
after
well.
all of this stuff is going on and what have you, I'm still assuming he'll probably stay in LA as well in all probability because Jerry Buss and Mitch Kupchak
They like him, right? They favor him.
They've handed the franchise. He's holding the franchise hostage
So
right
again,
now.
I would keep him and Shaq. Next.
Happening in those emails.
Got to be crying on the
Not those
inside for
emails.
that.
Now that a big piece of his trade bait, Steve Nash, has signed with the Phoenix Suns, rate Mark Cuban's chances of landing Shaquille.
I wouldn't trade Shaq if I were the Lakers. He's under contract. I would rather he doesn't play for me, doesn't play at all, than play for anyone else.
He's going either this year or next year, so you want to trade him before somebody walks. Yeah, he's a free agent next year. Now, does Mark Cuban have a shot without Steve Nash of getting Shaq? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me if he offers Dirk Nowitzki
He said he's not going to offer Dirk Nowitzki.
Well, you've heard various reports.
Do you think he wants to lose both Nash and Nowitzki and go through that?
No, but do you want to have Shaq? Do you want to win? He's come close.
Why would you trade? Seriously, if you're the Lakers, why would you trade him? You have him under contract.
They aren't going to play together, Tone.
Fine. Then let him sit out rather than have him beat me with somebody else.
Beat you next year.
Today's episode, the return of the windbag. That's you, Wilbon.
Yeah.
We start with Mike Krzyzewski. For 4 days, our nation teetered on the brink of dissolution, waiting for Krzyzewski to make up his mind. Would he go to the Lakers or would he stay at Duke? Earlier today, Krzyzewski said he would stay at Duke. Now, Wilbon, we both know Mike Krzyzewski a long time. We both like him a lot. Sometimes I think he's on this show more than you are. Did he make the right decision?
Either decision would have been the right decision. You're Mike Krzyzewski. Your legacy, and people love throwing that word around these days, it's intact. No matter what happens with the Lakers, you are still a god at Duke. If you go to Duke and stay there, they're going to welcome you back with open arms. If you go to the Lakers, you've got this new great challenge that I sort of wanted, to be honest, Tony, I wanted to see Mike take the Laker job and see how that would have turned out.
I think he should have gone. The arguments against him break down to this, that he created at Duke not just a preeminent program in college, but a very special place, and that these overpriced players in the NBA would not listen to him.
Right.
Let's attack them. First of all, Duke is a relatively special place, a comparably special place, but he's losing players too. Elton Brand went early, Jason Williams went early, Carlos Boozer, Mike Dunleavy, Luol Deng went early.
Still win in the NCAA with the players you get.
But it is not as special as it used to be at Duke. He couldn't keep him for 4 years.
Okay.
Now, in terms of NBA players, Larry Brown proved with the Pistons that NBA players are receptive to great coaching. I think Krzyzewski could have been a great coach in the pros.
You know what helps to be a great coach? When you're a star player who presumably had to be Kobe Bryant,
right?
Who wanted to play for Coach K.
That's right.
Thought about wanting to play for him in college. If he'd gone to college, he probably would have gone to Duke. I've talked to him about how much he likes Mike Krzyzewski. So you start off on the right foot with your star player. And I think he could have put a team. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski knows how to put a pro team together.
I think he
worked for the dream team. He was an assistant.
I think he could have kept Shaquille. I think, unlike a lot of other guys lately who've gone from college to bad teams, he was walking into a dominant team. And I know that nobody wants to talk about money here, but this is life-changing money. He could have supported his family for generations to come.
What, do you need food stamps now if he goes back to Duke?
No, but $10 million a year is a lot of millions. It's $3 more than you make.
Yeah, sure. Coach K remaining at Duke means the Lakers and all their drama will stay in the news indefinitely. Shaq still wants to be traded. Kobe is still scheduled to talk to the Clippers, and there's still the matter of hiring a coach. Kobe clearly wanted to play for Coach K, but maybe he doesn't want to play for Rudy T. Tony, is Shaq correct in thinking that Jerry Buss and Mitch Kupchak will do anything just to satisfy Kobe Bryant?
That's Shaq's point of view.
Yeah.
I would say this. If I owned the Los Angeles Lakers and I had Shaq under contract, and I didn't have Kobe under contract, I would do what I could to accommodate Kobe Bryant. I think that makes sense from a business point of view. I don't think this is a devastating blow, by the way, to Lakers, because the Lakers are a great franchise. And the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Knicks, they talk to you, you got to listen. They'll still do very well.
But Tony, the problem is this. The Lakers have so much going on with Kobe. We don't know whether Kobe's going to stay there or not.
That's right.
And until you get that sort of commitment from him, I mean, Shaq is just out there. Suppose you wind up with neither.
This is exactly what I'm saying. So you run a coach by him in the way that maybe Minnesota runs a coach by Kevin Garnett.
I agree that you need to do that.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I agree that you need to do it.
Look what happened in Philadelphia when they didn't run coaches by Allen Iverson. Look how that collapsed this year. You accommodate your big stars. If Shaq were a free agent right now, I'd accommodate Shaq.
Well, they could have accommodated Shaq or tried to. Mitch Kupchak's the one who went out there and said, well, we're not going to trade Kobe, but it would be a dark day if we traded Shaq. They could have accommodated
Do you
Shaq.
think they'll lose right now? Do you think they'll lose them both?
One, but not both. I think Shaq is gone.
If you're just joining us, Coach K has decided to remain at Duke rather than take the offer to coach the Lakers. Not your boy, Wilbon, not my boy, but our boy, Jay Adonde of the Los Angeles Times. Do you think Mike Krzyzewski made the right decision, Jay?
I think so, because he knows if you look at the track record, none of the great college coaches have done well in the NBA. So why?
Larry Brown?
He was a pro coach before he was a college coach. Larry Brown's is a whole different equation, but you look at everyone else who built up a humongous degree of success in college. What did he get them in the pros? Nothing. So if you're Coach Krzyzewski, why ruin a place where you have complete control? And that's what college coaches thrive on, is control. To go to place in the NBA where you have to win of a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Chuck Daly, Jack Ramsey, they were successful college coaches. They won titles in the pros.
They hadn't built that mountain of success the way Krzyzewski had in college. I mean, they named the court after him at Duke. You think they're going to name Staples Center after him? No.
They might if he wins enough championships. Jay, you spent the entire year chronicling the Lakers, writing columns about the Lakers. So let's go away from Coach K for a second to the Lakers. Where in the world does this leave the Los Angeles Lakers?
In a complete state of disarray, as far as I'm concerned. You just got rid of essentially the most successful coach in professional basketball history. You don't have a replacement for him. You've got your other superstar, Shaquille O'Neal, upset at the direction the Lakers are going. He wants out. And they've done all this to appease Kobe Bryant. And guess what? He still hasn't signed with them. They're guaranteed of nothing right now. They might not have Kobe or Shaq next year. And if they have Shaq, he's going to be very unhappy. So right now, they're in a complete, utter state of disarray.
All right, we know that Kobe Bryant has a relationship with Coach K, talks fondly all the time about Coach K, perhaps could have played for him in college had he gone to college. So does losing Coach K mean that they are really in possible danger of losing Kobe?
I think it hurts their chances, certainly. Here was a guy who set out to reshape the team in his image the way he wanted to, and now the Lakers couldn't deliver on his guy, the guy he wanted in there more than anyone else. Krzyzewski turned them down. So if you're Kobe, you're saying the Lakers, they haven't traded Shaquille O'Neal yet the way I wanted them to. They haven't brought in my guy yet the way I wanted them to. Maybe they can't meet my demands. Maybe I need to go down the hallway to the Clippers and see what they'll do for me.
Is he that powerful? I mean, come on. Is Kobe Bryant really that powerful? I understand how he might have some leverage, but you're painting him as like omnipotent, like he's running the team. Do you believe that?
I think so, clearly. Why else do you get rid of a guy with the status of Phil Jackson? Phil Jackson's camp believes that they were pretty close to reaching an agreement on a contract extension in February. When that was pulled off the table, they really believed Kobe Bryant was the reason behind that. That Kobe went upstairs and said, if Phil's here, I'm gone next year. This is Kobe's ability to flex. He can't really negotiate any more money. That's already established. They're going to give him as much as possible, over 130, close to $140 million. That was never a negotiating ploy. What he can negotiate is the setup of the team, and he's clearly trying to flex and use his free agency, his unrestricted free agency, as the ultimate bargaining chip.
All right, Jay, you mentioned the Clippers. I, for one, do not believe that Kobe Bryant can walk down the hall to the bad locker room and play for a team that is just a waste of time for the last 40 years. Tell me I'm wrong here. He's going to go talk to the Clippers for what?
He's definitely going to talk to them, and he's going to do it because he believes he's that powerful. If you have that much confidence in yourself, you believe you can overcome anything, even the 2 decades-long history of utter failure that the Clippers have had since they moved to Los Angeles. If one guy thinks he can do it, it's Kobe Bryant. And if you think about it, what would have a better nucleus of young talent next year, the Lakers with Kobe Bryant or the Clippers with Kobe Bryant? If Kobe goes to the Clippers, you surround him with Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, and now the draft pick Sean Livingston. That's a better young core than the Lakers have.
but it's still a few years away. So let's get to the immediate
But he's
notion.
only 25, so if he
Okay,
sticks,
but he wants to win in a hurry because
develop.
he's used to winning. All right, let's get back to the Lakers for a second. Who is Rudy Tomjanovich now the absolute #1 choice, or will they try to pull a rabbit out of the hat like they did with Mike Krzyzewski?
They're all out of rabbits. I mean, what other fuzzy, furry little animals are out there left? I mean, if you're going to throw aside a guy with the stature of Phil Jackson, you better bring in someone with the status of Pat Riley, who they talked to, Rudy Tomjanovich, another guy who won. Look, it's a very short list of guys who have won championships in the last 15 years or so. They've already been talking to 2 of them. Unless you're going to lure Chuck Daly out of retirement or pull Greg Popovich out of San Antonio, really what other choice do you have left but Rudy Tomjanovich, someone with status?
Well, let me go back to this, and we'll make it the last question, because you mentioned Pat Riley. Would it be realistic for them now, having seen their #1 choice turn them down? Pat Riley would heal a lot of wounds. Could they go to Pat Riley?
I think Pat Riley has a pride. You can't pass him over once and then expect him to come back. Also, I just think he's too financially entrenched. It would take too much to get him out of that deal he has with the Miami Heat to bring him to L.A. They talked about it. I think if they could have found a way to make it work, they would have. But since it didn't work then, now just think about it. The price has gone up for Rudy T, Pat Riley, and anyone else involved, because now they know they've lost one of their chips in Mike Krzyzewski. If I'm Rudy T or Pat Riley, the price has just gone up.
Thank you, J.A.
Thank
J.A. Adonde, boys and girls. We're taking a break. We begin today with Kobe Bryant exploring free agency in an unlikely place, Denver, Colorado. Bryant, who will soon go on trial near Denver for rape, is meeting today for a second time with Denver Nuggets management, including general manager Kiki Vandeweghe and the owner. Wilbon, I know you think that Kobe Bryant could leave the Lakers, but do you think he would sign with Denver?
I think Kobe could leave the Lakers, but I don't think he will leave the Lakers. And if he does leave the Lakers, I can't imagine he would wind up going to Denver.
Nor can I.
I mean, how far is Denver from Eagle, Colorado? 20, 30 minutes max?
I just think that everything that he has gone through, if he is acquitted, the trauma of all of it will make him say to himself, how could I play here? If you ask me for a conspiracy theory, I would look at this now and I would say that maybe his lawyers, maybe the defense team says to soften up potential jurors, give people a reason to believe that you're going to play.
To have him there?
Yes, because he has the celebrity factor going for in a lot of people's minds.
You're not this cynical. That's a real cynical point
Do you disagree with that possibility?
No, I can't.
Can you
I can't
see
rule
him?
it out.
Can you see him? Look, I think he'll play with the Lakers, of course.
I can't see. No, I cannot see him playing in a Denver uniform. First of all, from a basketball standpoint, is it practical to bring in Kobe Bryant in a place where you got Carmelo Anthony, where he needs the ball? He's a young guy. You just you got all this money.
But
you can
again,
surround him.
Everything points to the fact that he will stay with the Lakers, who can give him more years and more money than anywhere else. So you tell me why he'd be interested in Denver. You tell me.
You just said it.
Would he not want to distance himself from Colorado?
You know, I have a hard enough time seeing the Clippers where he's comfortable within the comfort level, much less the Denver Nuggets. Give him
That would make him
5.
the second most
Give him
ever,
5.
I think. Next.
This game doesn't sweep the nation with pushes. It's buy or sell, Wilbon. Next, number 1, Shaquille O'Neal playing over or under one more game with the Lakers.
I'm going way over on this. They're going to call Shaq's bluff. They are not going to trade him. He's going to play 60 to 65 games for the Lakers next year, sit out about 20 in the middle of the year because he wants to take a rest. He's staying. He's not going to sit out. He's playing.
I'm not staying. I told you I demanded a trade.
Demand anything you want. You're under contract.
It's under. He's not playing for the Lakers again. It's Kobe Bryant's team. You want to be Kobe Bryant's team, it's going to be Kobe Bryant's team.
Are they going to trade him?
They're going to have to trade him.
No, they're
he
not.
Said he's not playing.
Wait.
I believe
Why
Shaq.
do they have to? He's under contract.
He can withhold. Oh, and the other people who have demanded trades aren't under contract in the
sport. If he withholds his services, he won't get paid. This is about money.
They're going to trade him. 0, under.
No way. Next, Randy Johnson and a pinch of Carlos Boozer. We begin today with a report in the Riverside Press Enterprise that Dr. Jerry Buss and the Lakers will accede to Shaquille O'Neal's demands to be traded. The story says the leading candidate for this trade is the Miami Heat, who would part with at least Lamar Odom and Brian Grant, among others. Now, Wilbon, if you were Pat Riley, would you throw in Caron Butler or Dwayne Wade to get Shaq?
First of all, my man Brad Turner breaking some more stories on Shaq being traded. I would not. And here's why. It doesn't leave you with enough stuff in Miami if you get rid of them. They say that Wade will not go under any circumstances, and I don't blame them. But even if you throw Butler in, Tony, you're sort of left with what? Wade and Shaq and Eddie Jones?
Miami We watch those games on TV. There are a lot of empty seats in Miami. Shaq would fill up seats. You bring somebody like that, that's a marquee name guy.
So you would do it?
Well, yeah, my position is different. My position is if I owned the Lakers, because they're quoting Jerry Buss, I would never trade this guy.
But if you are Miami and you're Pat Riley to get Shaq,
yes,
would you sort of strip down your team? And would you be competitive
I'll tell you why. Because I'm still in the Eastern Conference where the teams are fairly weak.
You mean like the championship Detroit Pistons for your boy Larry Brown? You mean like them?
The teams are weaker in the East than in the West by and large. I was a playoff team last year. Was I a second round playoff team?
Yeah.
If I can get Shaquille, I got a shot. And so I would do it. And if I was the Lakers and I was going to trade, I'd certainly trade him out of conference, but I wouldn't trade him.
You know, you keep staying with this theme of I wouldn't trade him, which is ironic. Because all winter long, all you wanted to do was trade A-Rod. You were so excited about the A-Rod trade to where? The Sox. And now, even though every indication
what does that have to
is
do with anything?
That Shaq is going to be traded, and you're in denial.
Shaq wants to be traded. He's under contract. I would keep him.
Is he going to be traded or not?
I don't think so.
I'm
sticking
stay
my
with
story.
this.
Yes.
A week ago,
Pat Riley acknowledges that the Miami Heat are trying to deal for Shaquille O'Neal, and that makes it a good time to touch base with our PTI Miami bureau chief, the very hateable Dan Le Batard of the Miami Herald, who joins us from Pro Players Stadium in an umpire's hat. They're very silly with sunglasses hanging from his chest. I mean, it is preposterous.
What do you want me to be wearing at the ballpark? A Deion Sanders mustard-colored suit? It's hotter than the surface of the sun out here.
Here, does this make you feel good? Ball one, strike one, Mr. Umpire. Let's get to this.
I am here for my judgment. Do not question my judgment. Do not heckle the ump.
All right, let's get to your judgment then. I'm on the record as saying I would never trade Shaquille O'Neal. I would not do it. He is the most valuable player in the entire league. Having said that, do you think that this trade sounds good to you?
Well, it sounds good to me if I'm the Miami Heat, yeah, because I can't believe I'm getting him this cheap. I got to think all over the league. They're saying, wait a minute, that's all it takes? A guy that's not even the Clippers wanted last year, and a guy the Heat have been trying to get rid of for a couple of years because of his salary? I mean, if this is all it takes, the Miami Heat has to be thrilled. I think the Lakers would be crazy, though. I think Jack Nicholson should go to their offices right now and start, wielding a pitchfork at them while dressed in that Joker's mask, yelling at them.
Well, let's carry this out one step further. If the Los Angeles Lakers say, hey, wait a minute, we got to sweeten the pot a little bit here, Mr. Riley. We want Dwayne Wade. If you're the Miami Heat, do you give him up?
Well, it's hard to make the contracts match, though. Dwayne Wade is so cheap and Shaq is so expensive that you got to do it Dwayne Wade, Eddie Jones, Brian Grant.
That's what I mean. Throw him in. Do you have to include Dwayne Wade?
Yeah, but I don't think the Lakers want all that contract. I don't think they want two Miami discards. For me, if it's me and I'm the Miami Heat, I push my roster to them and I say, take any one player you want with anything you want. Now, Odom or Wade, not Odom and Wade. But if I'm in this league and I'm any other team, I'm saying outside of Tim Duncan, any other team, Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, I'm pushing everything toward them. And I'm saying, take any one player you want, because all the arguments you can make for Garnett and Nowitzki, they've never gotten past Shaq. They don't get past him in the playoffs.
All right, but let's hold and keep this to Miami for a second. Miami got to the second round of the playoffs this year, Dan. I thought everybody down there, loved this scrappy team. Couldn't they add Eric Dampier and get what they need in the East? Or do they have to sort of tear up their team to get Shaquille?
Not for the mid-level exception, they can't get him. And remember, Mike, yes, it was a nice run, and it was a fun run, and it was a scrappy overachiever. The team was 42-40 last year. You know how many winning teams they beat on the road last year?
Yeah, but they were 0-8 to start, weren't they?
Zero. They won 0 games against winning teams on the road. That's not close. They happened into the final 8. Mike, Shaq is always in the final 8. No matter who's around him, Kobe, Eddie Jones, Anthony Hardaway, it doesn't matter. He's always in the final 8.
I agree with you.
Because of him, too.
I agree with you. I mean, if I could get Shaq, I'd give anybody up, other than Tim Duncan. I'd give anybody up to get him. But would you worry at all about maybe Shaq's lack of commitment? Do you think, he takes off some games during the season. Would that bother you, worry you?
I think you're getting an angry, motivated, disrespected Shaq at this point who thinks he's been underappreciated because of all that Kobe nonsense. And I think this year, at least, you'd be getting a pretty agitated Shaq, which is the best kind of Shaquille O'Neal to have. I don't think that you're going to get somebody who's lazy. And if you're worried about tying up one guy in injury, he's 32 years old. you could say that for any team in the league. If San Antonio loses Duncan to injury, they're done. If Minnesota loses Garnett to injury, they're done. It doesn't take 3 great players anymore.
Hi, boys and girls. In today's episode, we talk about the Shaq trade, NASCAR fisticuffs, and giant inflatable fruit.
Ooh.
We begin today with the biggest story on the sports landscape, much bigger than any Olympic trial, the apparent trading of Shaquille O'Neal to the Miami Heat. Wilbon, Phil Jackson is quoted in today's LA Times as saying that as a result of trading Shaq, quote, Los Angeles will have to say goodbye to any chance of becoming a multiple champion in the near future, unquote. Phil seems to see this as a bad trade for the Lakers. Wilbon, do you?
I don't know if it's a bad trade because maybe if you put Karan, Butler, Bryant, Grant, Lamar Odom on the floor with Kobe Bryant and somebody else, maybe they'll function in a way they can go into the playoffs and have some success. But right now, the Lakers are getting back 3 guys in Butler, Grant, and Odom who have how many All-Star appearances
0.
exactly?
Well, it is a terrible trade, and let me explain this to you. As you know, I never would have traded Shaquille.
I know. And by the way, you want to eat a plate of crow now or when it becomes official on Wednesday?
No, that's fine. No, you were right on the fact that he would be traded. 30 years ago, or almost 30 years ago, a very young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had been about a year or 2 away from leading the Milwaukee Bucks to the NBA championship.
Well,
and he
4
said,
years away.
He said, I don't want to play here anymore. Please trade me.
Right.
So they traded him from some nice players, including David Myers and Junior Bridgman, Elmore Smith. Nice players, like the nice players.
These are nice
that
players.
the Lakers
You'd like
are
to
getting.
have them.
Okay, since that time,
how's Milwaukee done?
they have never made the NBA Finals.
They don't ever get back there. But Tony,
you trade a superstar,
then you know what?
lose.
Then they should have reacted quicker and gotten Dirk Nowitzki or Steve Nash or somebody from Dallas. Because right now,
your boy Mark Cuban looks like the loser in this whole deal.
Why is he the loser?
Because he has traded away good talent, received bad, expensive talent, and did not get Shaquille.
He also got some young
did not
players,
get
some
Shaquille,
young
and
talent.
Steve Nash
They
left
don't look
him.
as bad as the Lakers, and the Lakers don't even know if Kobe's going to be there yet, do they? Which we'll get to now. Anybody who thinks Kobe Bryant ain't seriously considering going to the Clippers, and this means you, Tony, is naive. Why else would the man ask the Clippers, who are wooing him, to play a dozen games or so in Anaheim, very close to his Newport Beach home? Seems insane to me that anybody would want to leave one of the great franchises in sports for the sorry no-account Clippers. But, Tony, don't you have to concede now that it appears at least possible he'll go to the Clippers?
Everything is possible. He is not going to go to the Clippers.
Like Shaq is not going to get traded?
No, you do this for ego. You don't believe in your heart that he's going to go to the Clippers.
Kobe
does this for ego.
He'll go.
Let me tell you, give you another history lesson.
What?
Okay? Right after Bill Walton hit 21 for 22, beat Memphis State in the NCAA, the ABA at that time, the American Basketball Association, said, we will put a team in San Diego, your hometown. We will stock
it. Those are conquistadors?
No, it's before
was that.
We will stock it with all UCLA players. We'll do anything you want. And Walton said, thanks, but no thanks. And he's played another year in college, and then he went to the NBA, and he went to Portland. Kobe Bryant is just trying to see how much of an ego can be satisfied.
But
he's not going to go.
He doesn't manipulate anything. A week ago, Kobe didn't manipulate all this stuff.
Let's face facts. You're a Shaq guy and you hate Kobe.
No, I do. Not only do I not
hate
Kobe.
You're a Shaq guy.
I like Kobe.
You're a Shaq guy.
I like Shaq. I've known him longer. Yes.
Okay.
But Tony,
Kobe's doing
by the way,
to flex his muscle.
Well, let me
it's
ask
Albert Bell.
The guy,
he's going like
the
this.
guy
he's
who's
not going.
cowering in the corner must be Mitch Kupchak. Because if he lines up with no Jackson, no Shaq, and no Kobe, what has to happen to Kupchak?
He probably has no job.
He's got to go bye-bye.
Yeah,
that's what has to happen to him.
That would be a bad deal
for
him
situation.
and for Jerry Buss. When they're playing a game that they need and they lose, Michael Jordan is reportedly in discussions to own part of the Miami Heat. Stop making excuses for Manning. Do you think he'd rather pay Shaq or play with Shaq?
At this point, pay Shaq. He's 42 years old, or about to be 42. He's not. Stop with the plan. Now, I know you just salivating, you're drooling on yourself over here. So you think, oh yeah, Jordan should come back and play while he can. No, he would want to pay Shaq and be an owner. Not going on sweat equity this time, but pay somebody. Pay
Michael Jordan has never put his hand in his hip to reach for any check ever. So you know he doesn't want to pay Shaq.
He does now. Yeah, he has to. He knows.
Let's see. We'll believe that when we see it.
He knows.
Now, I would like to see him play. He's never played with a great center. He's never played with a good center. Now he has to play with a great center.
You're lobbying again for
I
him
love
to come
watching
out
him play. I love watching him play.
He's going to own, not play.
He's going to have to put up his own whip out.
His own money. That's right. He's already said he would. You know, Lakers owner Jerry Buss moving to basketball. Still vacationing in Italy, told reporters in a conference call back to the United States, He is enjoying his Chianti, his rigatoni, some tagliatelle. And that Kobe Bryant had nothing to do with the trading of Shaq to Miami. That he, Bus, dumped Phil Jackson and Shaq, quote, totally independent of Kobe, close quote. Tony, I'd sooner believe you're going to walk in here with a head full of hair tomorrow than believe Kobe had nothing to do with this. But what do you believe?
Here is my head of hair for tomorrow. Here it is right here. Tagliatelle. Isn't he the commissioner of the NFL? You don't look as Italian as I now know that you are. Did Kobe have something to do with it? It would be a foolish owner who did not try to anticipate the needs of a player. He may not have consulted directly with Kobe Bryant, but he had to know because he reads all the stuff.
And he does have a relationship with Kobe. He had
to know that Kobe was less than thrilled with Phil Jackson and the relationship with Shaq wasn't all that good. But I think he's in a position where he can deny that he went to Kobe and said, what do you want, what do you need? And you know what?
I doubt he had to do that. Why would he have to do that?
If he did that, if he said, what do you want and what do you need, and he was the guy he wanted to re-sign, because the other guy, Shaq's still under contract technically, I wouldn't blame him for doing that.
I'm not going to say I blame him. No. I just don't want to hear I did this totally independent. He had to know that Kobe didn't want to be with Phil and Kobe didn't want to be with Shaq.
He may have taken the action independent of what Kobe said, but did it to keep Kobe around. You could hold both positions. They're not mutually exclusive.
Toss up. Who will end up with more titles, Shaq or Kobe?
I'm going with Kobe.
What a stunner.
Okay, I'm going with Kobe, but simply because he is 7 years younger than Shaquille O'Neal. So he has more time to assemble people around him, and we'll see. We'll see if he's Michael Jordan and he can win without a great center. Most guys need a great center.
They do.
We'll see if he can.
They do. I got them both ending up with the same number of titles they have now. 3. No more for either one. No more for either guy. I think they can get to the finals. I think they will find out.
I think Shaq can get to the finals at Miami.
I don't think they can beat the West. To the finals. But you're right, Tony. Kobe, if he wants to, has 10, 11, 12 more seasons in which to pursue this. He is a great, great player. And maybe he gets has a GM who can assemble.
So that's why I would have Kobe.
3-3, that's it. No more titles.
You're wrong. What's next? It's now official. The Los Angeles Lakers have traded Shaq to the Miami Heat for Lamar Odom, Ryan Grant, Caron Butler, and a future first-rounder. It is an incomprehensibly stupid move by the Lakers. And if David Aldridge has half a brain, he will agree with me. How about it?
You never trade Shaquille O'Neal.
Thank you.
It's my opinion.
Look at Wilbon.
You never
Tell
trade
Wilbon this.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Exactly.
That's my opinion.
About
That's
this?
my opinion.
Here's what I want to move on.
You go from being invincible to being vincible.
That's very invincible. We'll get to
Vince in a minute, right?
But how dangerous, David, how risky is it to trade Shaquille O'Neal before you have Kobe Bryant's name on a contract?
It's very dangerous. This is a franchise risking 48 hours for this franchise, because if they trade Shaq and Kobe, who still has not made up his mind as we talk, decides to go to the Clippers, who now have the room, well, Jerry Buss can just sell, he can fold the tent, because they're not going to sell
anything. Is this all Jerry Buss? I mean, is Buss telling Mitch Kupchak, go get rid of Shaq, even though we don't have word for Kobe?
Let's examine that first. Do you think Mitch Kupchak unilaterally would decide to trade Shaquille O'Neal?
I couldn't imagine.
All right, so clearly it's Jerry Buss.
Okay.
Clearly this is all Jerry Buss trying to keep Kobe happy.
All right, let's go back to Shaq. Do you have the Heat immediately being a title contender? Because we know Shaq is going to say, yes, we're a title contender.
I think they are a contender to get to the finals. There's no question. In the East, which is not as bad as people think, but certainly not as good as the West, they certainly are among the top 3 or 4 teams now with Shaq. There's no question.
You mentioned Kobe Bryant and where he would end up. The Clippers have cleared out more room by dumping a couple of people on the Bobcats.
One of whom's a pretty good player, Melvin Ely.
Right, earlier today. That makes them, in their minds, serious players for Kobe Bryant. But do you honestly believe, because I don't, do you honestly believe that Kobe Bryant will go to the Clippers?
I still don't think so, Tony, because of, again, and we're all guessing, okay? None of us know. But it seems to me that Kobe's relationship with Jerry Buss is genuine, and there is some affection there. He knows Jerry Buss. He knows what Jerry Buss will do to make a team a championship contender. Given the track record of Donald Sterling and what he's done with that franchise, I cannot imagine that Kobe Bryant, whose most important thing is winning, more than the money, the endorsement, he wants to win. I can't imagine he would trust Donald Sterling to do the things to make that team a contender and keep
Then
them.
what is this about?
Yeah,
What is this?
I think he genuinely is intrigued by the Clippers, wanting to turn their history around. I can see that from a historical perspective. But again, it comes down to ownership. First and foremost, what are the owners going to do to make you a championship contender, and what are they going to do to keep you there? And Donald Sterling has never shown the ability to keep a team in championship contender status.
All right, let's move to some other people for a second.
Soul of Alex Trebek. We begin today with the highly anticipated decision as to where Kobe Bryant will play basketball next year. It's in L.A., of course. He'd already whittled the list down to the Lakers and the Clippers. And like anyone with half a brain knew, he picked the Lakers, where he could get more money, more years, and more comfort. Wilbon, you were angry when you found out Kobe had spurned the Clippers. What are you, nuts?
No, I wasn't angry. I didn't care about that. The drama, of course, was whether he would choose someone else. But I expected him to choose the Lakers. I wasn't running around like you saying, he's got to choose the Lakers. Oh, my God.
No,
I wasn't emotionally invested in where Kobe was going.
But you believe that he treated the Clippers badly, and the Clippers gave him everything he wanted.
The whole thing was strung out ridiculously long to return to the place where you wanted to play. What's all this stuff about 12 to 15 games in Anaheim and the Clippers are dealing people so they can create more cap room? It was a lot of drama over nothing.
You know what's interesting about this? Yesterday, after the show, when you found out that he was seriously interested in the Chicago Bulls, what did you say you would do?
That's another story.
You said you would hold up a big sign for Kobe and buy tickets.
Today with a Kobe number 8 jersey on, taken from Bobby Weiss.
The fact of the matter is that the Lakers are the best team, the smartest team, and the only team for him to play for.
Okay.
But the question is still out there.
What?
Will he play at all? He is, let's be fair here. Nobody talks about this. He's going on trial for
That's
rape.
right. And we don't know.
And he doesn't know.
And nobody knows. But that was really what was interesting to me, Tony, about other teams willing to give up players not knowing. I mean, with the Lakers, he's returning to the place he's always been, and they don't know. So there's uncertainty everywhere, but other teams willing to give up so much, that was sort of stunning.
I mean, everybody seems to be looking past this as if there is no chance that he will be convicted and not be playing basketball because he will not be a free man. There has to be some chance, doesn't there?
Maybe they know something we don't know. All right, now that Kobe's agreed to stay with the Lakers, let's look at how this whole Shaq-Kobe thing appears to shake out. The Lakers have a team with lots of perimeter players, Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, Kobe, but no real power players besides undersized Brian Grant. Miami has Shaq and Dwayne Wade, and that's about it. So, Tony, who's got the better team right now on paper, Heat or Lakers?
All right, for the sake of argument, I'm going to assume that Kobe Bryant is going to play next year, the whole year with the Lakers.
There we go. Make it
I'm going to say the Heat because they've got Shaquille O'Neal. He's the most important, biggest, best, most valuable basketball player in the whole league. And you say they have nobody else other than Dwayne Wade? Yeah. It doesn't matter who you got. Just get the ball to Shaq and see what happens.
Did I miss something, or did I spend the last 2 years sitting here as someone on this set told me that Kobe Bryant was as good as Michael Jordan?
I said
did I not hear
no,
that?
I didn't say as good. I said at a comparable age was better. But have you ever heard...
Then if you got Michael Jordan, you don't care. Last I checked, Shaq never beat Michael Jordan in the playoffs.
Have you ever heard me say
not when
that
Michael
anybody
Jordan
other
was
than
23.
Shaq was the best player in the game? You have not heard me say that.
But if you're saying, if Kobe Bryant is indeed Michael Jordan, as you have said many times.
Well, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see right now if he can find among this group of people that he's got.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't look to be...
Who can beat Pippen and Grant.
Doesn't look to be a Scottie Pippen out there right now. We're going to see if Kobe Bryant in the heart of conference can take this team and do what Michael Jordan did with the Chicago Bulls. But right now, I think that if there was nobody else other than Dwayne Wade, that Miami would be the better team.
Neither of these teams is going to be favored to win its conference.
Who's better?
Neither.
Okay, but who's better?
Detroit is better.
But who's,
and
no.
4 or 5.
Who's better right now between Miami and the Lakers? That's all I'm asking.
Miami a little bit.
Thank
Miami
you. Thank
a
you.
little
Thanks
bit.
for coming over to the right side.
Sure.
David Aldridge is back with us for a second straight day. Thank you for sleeping on the set, David.
What, no mints?
No mints, no chocolate, nothing like that, and no free continental breakfast. Kobe chooses to stay with the Lakers. Kind of a letdown, isn't it?
I guess. Not to me, Tony. I mean, I didn't think he was going to the Clippers. I said that on this show about 900 times. I just thought the Lakers' history, tradition, his relationship with Buss was too much, even though I'm sure he was intrigued by the idea of resurrecting the Clippers franchise. The Lakers were home for him, and I thought he'd stay.
Well, if that was the case, why do we have 5 days of the Clippers dumping salary and moving games to Anaheim? I mean, was this just a big tease with the Clippers?
First of all, I'm told that was not true, that they were not committing to play games in Anaheim. Secondly, you know, they tried to do everything they could. All they could do was do everything they could, and they did everything they could. All they did was trade Melvin Ely, who was a guy that they was not going to be in their rotation next year. Eddie House, the guy who was not going to be in their rotation next year. So they cleared as much room as they could. Now they'll probably match Quentin Richardson's offer sheet, bring him back, and they'll still have a little bit of cap.
Wilbon seems to resent the fact that Kobe played this out.
It would have been
I'm
fun to see
talking
him with the
about
Clippers.
all of the melodrama. By the way, I'm not saying it was all created by Kobe if these reports of playing so many games in Anaheim are false.
I think they talked about it. I think legitimately he considered the Clippers. I don't think that they were a stalking horse, but in the end, I didn't think that would be enough for him to go leave town.
I'm sure the Lakers feel like they won today, but let's go back to something that Wilbon and I talked about in the last segment. Kobe Bryant goes on trial.
Yes.
There has to be some real possibility that all these teams seem to be ignoring, that he will be convicted and will not be able to play basketball.
Well, no, they're not ignoring it, Tony, but what can you do until that happens? You have to play this thing out. You have to see what's available to you out there, and Kobe Bryant was the best free agent available. You had to try and get him if you could. Let the legal thing play out. There's nothing you can do about it as a basketball team. And if he were to be convicted, you'd be free of his contract. So there's no long-term obligation.
But doesn't surprise you then that the teams that went after Kobe Bryant, including some additional starters like the Chicago Bulls, that people all went after him, just making the assumption, I'm sure, that he would play?
No, everybody went after Alonzo Mourning last year, knowing he had a kidney problem and that he might not be able to play. You go after people until they can't play for you.
All right, now we know that Kobe Bryant, let's presume for a second that he will play for the Los Angeles Lakers. We know Shaq's going to play in Miami. David, these guys are now finally separate. You've heard them talk. They've talked to you, at least privately, about how they wondered about how they could do without the other. Who's going to be in a better position?
I tell you what, I think Kobe is in a situation much like Pippen was in '94 when Jordan left. He's got a decent team around him. It's not quite as good as that Bulls team that was still around Pippen, but he has an opportunity to do that kind of thing. I think Shaq, short-term, the next 1 or 2 years, is going to be a dominating type of player, have a better record because he's in the East.
But does he have enough help on that team?
They will get him enough
but
help.
isn't it going to be easier to get help for Shaq than help for Kobe?
To go inside out is much easier. They have to get a power forward. Karl Malone's certainly out there as a possibility. There are power forwards who will take the mid-level exception to play with the Heat now. So, and don't forget, they've got Dwayne Wade, who's a great young basketball player, who is not just chopped liver, and Eddie Jones is going to be a better player playing with Shaq, playing with a real option inside. And the logo in Memphis will do something with all that talent. So this division is packed top to bottom.
Do you think it's possible right now that the Los Angeles Lakers, as constituted with Kobe Bryant, could fall as far as 6th or 7th in the West?
Or 8th. Yes.
Or 8th in the West.
I think it's possible.
So I guess he might not be Michael Jordan, as I keep hearing from my esteemed colleagues.
I mean, every team in the Midwest made the playoffs last year, except for Utah, which just added 4 great players.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
David Aldridge, boys and girls. We are taking a break, but when we come back...
They're like a couple of brats. All right, so I'm not going to take either one of their sides.
Of course you won't.
We cannot and will not go cold turkey and just have no Lakers story today. And a logical thing to examine is Kobe Bryant's Thursday news conference, during which he said he was surprised Shaq demanded a trade, that he had nothing to do with the departure of Phil Jackson or Shaq, and that he would have happily returned to the Lakers if both had stayed. Now, Tony, a whole lot of people ain't buying that Kobe was completely uninvolved in these Laker affairs. But what do you believe?
I believe that this gives him a certain amount of wiggle room. I believe that the owner was well aware and the GM was well aware that Shaq and Kobe did not get along, and that Shaq sided with Phil Jackson and Kobe sided against Phil Jackson. And the moves that were made, the accommodations, indicate that they knew this with Kobe Bryant. But his denials are the same denials that politicians always give. What I find interesting here is that you and people of your ilk
Who's that?
write
Who's
and
that?
talk.
Who's
well,
that? People of ilk.
You
Who's that?
and Donde and Stephen A.
You mean
and
sports
Aldridge
writers
and
have to
Tim
go and
Brown
cover games and get to talk to
who's
these
the other
guys?
guy?
You mean that?
Plaschke, you all
You mean that?
side with Shaq against Kobe.
No. See, now you're making it up. You're just making it up.
Are you a Shaq guy?
Not particularly. I like Shaquille O'Neal very much. I've known him for a long time. I like him. Yeah, am I supposed to not cop to that? All right. Shaq came out and said what he said. He avoided answering Kobe questions.
He didn't say I hate Kobe.
When he talked to ESPN,
Here's the
talked to
most
Colleen
important
Dominguez.
thing.
But Kobe Don't you find this a little curious?
Disingenuous. Here's what I find completely disingenuous. But down the road, if Kobe plays next year for the Lakers, he's got a chance to show, is he or is he not Michael Jordan?
Yep.
Can he bring a whole bunch of non-entities of sorts and win a championship? And we'll see.
Plenty of time to prove it. You're right.
But
You're
don't
right.
tell me you're not a Shaq guy, please. When we land,
And whose guy are you?
I like Shaq,
but
I like Kobe too.
admission.
I like Kobe too.
Please.
Missed that one. I didn't know he
I
was this
missed it
great.
too.
Did you? Next.
What's up? It's Mike, the lovable summer intern. Do you see the Lakers ever retiring Shaq's jersey?
Ever is a long time. Owners die, owners sell teams.
That's what's gonna have
you
to
know,
happen.
coaches come and go, player attitudes change. I think by the time Shaq retires, a couple of years after he retires and he goes to the Hall of Fame, that the Lakers will retire the number. The better question is, will Shaq go back to L.A. for the ceremony?
Yes, he'll go back to L.A. And whether it's this owner, Jerry Buss, or
another
not,
owner.
but it will be Jerry Buss. They'll both be old. Shaq will go out to his beach house and be on the beach or run to Jerry
And say,
Buss.
pay me,
Jerry
pay
Buss
me.
and 4 or 5 playmates. And they'll just say, you know what? Let's have a bottle of wine. And those are the good old days, and they'll make up.
Do you
Fine.
think?
Yes, they will retire
Do you
the number.
think ever that you'll like Kobe?
I like Kobe now. Take the earrings off and stop the madness. What's next?
Next. Pregnant again. We start today with the fabulous arrival of Shaquille O'Neal in a giant diesel truck in Miami. On the side of the truck was a huge banner. Picture Shaq said diesel power. Shaq told Miamians how happy he was to be there, what great shape he would be in, and how he would lead the Miami Heat to a championship. He also conjured up this wonderful visual image.
I just bought a house on the beach, and my wife likes me to walk naked on the beach. So if you take pictures of me naked on the beach, don't sell them to the Inquirer unless I get 15%.
Wilbon, is that a sight that people in South Florida really want to see?
Yes. Have you? I know that Florida is a place you like, but you haven't been to South Beach in a while. My favorite sight on South Beach was a woman rollerblading with a fur coat and a string bikini on underneath that. No, they do want to see Shaq with either next to no clothes or no clothes. You know what? The cool thing about Shaq was in that press conference, he was very funny.
Very funny.
Shaq is the most entertaining figure in the NBA in addition to being the most dominant player. And as a big man, as a 7-footer, ever held that double-double.
You think Bill Russell was entertaining, never talked to people? Kareem didn't talk to people. Wilt a little bit, but not like Shaq. Shaq is the first huge guy comfortable in his own skin. And if you set up a rivalry between Shaq and Kobe, on the public relations front, Shaq will always win. He is much more engaging. He did say a couple of things that struck me as odd. Like? One, what a good team. The Miami team, he saw such a good team. They all gone.
They were.
Right. They're all
He's
gone.
right.
They were traded for him.
to get him
Right.
there.
They were traded for him. He talked almost obsessively in a short amount of time about being in shape, which means he knows that people wonder, is he overweight? Is he past his prime? And so he vowed, I will be in shape.
So you're always calling me a Shaq guy, and I like Shaq a lot. What kind of shape do you think he's going to be in come the 1st of November?
I think he will have the best year he has left in him this coming year. Now, I don't know if it's as good as some of the years he's had already, but I think it will be the best he has.
Welcome back. We're just 30 days away from the start of the Kobe Bryant rape trial, and this past week has brought several developments. We're joined now by ESPN legal analyst Roger Cosack. What's up, Roger? How are you? First question for me is that I'm hearing that the attorneys for the accuser were scheduled to meet up in Denver this week. Is there a possibility that this case can be dismissed or settled?
You know, Stephen, there's always a possibility for something, but I doubt it. Let me tell you why. Since the decision last Friday, which I think really dramatically damaged the prosecution's case, they have now come out and said, well, we've spoken to the accuser in this case, and she's still strong, and she's going to go forward, and she doesn't want to back down one instance. So that indicates that at least for public consumption, they're thinking about going ahead. The hard part is to figure out some kind of a plea bargain that they could come up with for Kobe Bryant. You know, he's charged with a terrible, terrible crime, a sex crime, that if he's convicted, not only is he looking at prison, not only is he looking at the end of his career, but he's also looking at registering as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
Roger, forgive us because we're just a couple of idiot sports writers here, so I'm sure you get tired of getting interviewed by idiot sports writers, right?
Go ahead.
But recently the judge ruled that the accuser's recent sex life, admissible, significant, not?
Oh, incredibly significant. Look, this was what this case was all about.
Right.
Kobe Bryant comes out the first day and he says, look, I had consensual sex with this woman. I'm not denying that I had sex with her. I remember what he said. I may have sinned against my marriage, but I may have committed adultery, but I did not commit forcible rape. So What is his defense? His defense is this girl willingly had sex with me. And how does he prove it? She says I didn't. He says I did. Well, you got to look for circumstantial evidence.
Right.
One of the arguments in this case that the prosecution says is, look, when he had sex with her, he injured her. She received some lacerations. He says that's not true. And now he says, I can show you why it's not true, because she had, we allege, and we say we can prove, sexual relations with a couple other guys immediately prior to me, and maybe she got those lacerations from them.
So does that mean game over on this with this?
It's never game over in a trial, guys. It's never game over. I mean, she could get up on that witness stand, make one incredible witness, look that jury in the eye and say, you know, I did a lot of bad things, and I shouldn't have gone to his room, and I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have done that, but, you know, there came a time when I said no more, and he didn't stop, and if that jury believes it, you know, it's trouble.
But are the people in Eagle County anxious to be jurors on this trial, or do they have this kind of attitude? They just want to separate themselves from it. They don't want anything to do with it.
You know, it's funny. Eagle County is about 25,000 or 35,000, and it turns out that about 1 out of every 20 people there is going to get a subpoena to come to be on this jury. Part of the reason for that is that a lot of people live there part of the time and don't live there part of the time, so that their roles for jury selection are a little out of date because they don't really know who's there and who's not there. I think you find some people who would be willing to go, and you find some people who I've talked to said, oh, my only hope is that I get left alone in this.
Last question, and this is going to sound crazy, but you remember all of this stuff going on with Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, ultimately Shaq getting traded, Kobe remaining in L.A.
Sure.
That whole fiasco and the way that it unfolded, any possibility at all that people were watching that and basically using that to influence their thoughts in terms of determining the outcome of this trial?
You know,
in your estimation.
You know, who knows what people will focus in on. Look, you know, he spent a lot of time with Denver up there, and in a sense kind of romanced them for a while. And a question I got asked on a show one night was, do you think he's doing this because he wants the people of Denver to get a little thought of, gee, you know, if we had Kobe Bryant up here, you know, playing for us, we might be able to go someplace. And the idea that maybe that was going to influence the jury. I think all of those things really get set aside. You know, I was both a prosecutor and a defense lawyer before I got into this biz, and I tried a lot of cases, and I think when those juries come in the door, they really try their best, and they try as hard as they can to put all this other stuff out of their mind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff, Roger.
Thanks,
Okay,
Roger.
guys.
Thanks for coming. That's Roger Cosack, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking a break, but when we come back,